can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego, and happy Tuesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fans. Good to be talking with all of you, especially after the Padres knock off the Dodgers last night. And wow, what a game. A 1-0 victory for the Padres. The last time the Padres beat the Dodgers 1-0, it was 2008. It's been a long time since that was the case. A couple of times I was watching the game last night. For the entire time I said, you can't win this game 1-0. You can't win this game 1-0. One's not going to be enough. You're not going to be able to win this game 1-0. I've seen this episode so many times before. If the Padres still have one run going to the ninth inning, they're not going to be able to win a 1-0 game. Can't even say right, but too early. Wrong. Way early and wrong. They were able to pull off a 1-0 victory. That's pretty impressive. Now, offensively, we talked about a lot of the problems yesterday. We're going to continue to talk about the offensive problems today. They got to be able to put up more runs than just one. But you're going against Yamamoto. Okay, he's one of the better pitchers in the league. I know a lot of people give him the nickname Yama Meatballs. He gave up a Yama Meatball to Miguel Andújar in the second batter of the game. Welcome to the Padres Dodgers rivalry, Miguel Andújar. That was great. Just needed the one run. But I tell you what, the pitching staff last night was phenomenal. Starting with Michael King. Michael King was awesome last night. Awesome. 7 innings last night. I mean, he showed why he is your ace pitcher of the staff. He was electric. It was awesome to watch him play. Now, I thought the Padres got a little lucky in the later innings where, and it was a couple of times, but, Michael King had one play. I forget what inning it was off the top of my head because, he goes 7 innings, no earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. Frank, you remember the play? It was like a chop. It was a swinging bunt up the left field, up the third baseline, and King fields it and kind of spins, and he hucks it in the right field. No reason to throw that. I know he wants to make a play. I know there's a guy on base, and he wants to make a play.
You're referencing the Duran play in, what was it, the 7th inning, 8th inning?
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. The throw did not need to be made.
No.
It did not need to be made. It would have been runners on first and probably second. Instead, it's first and third. They hold Kim at third base. I mean, that could have been potentially a run for the Dodgers. And it wasn't. Thank goodness it wasn't, because who knows? They'd still be playing right now if that was the case. I thought that was the only big mistake for the Padres last night, was just trying to force a play that you don't need to force. Look, it's a big game. It's a rivalry game. It's a lot of people in the stands. It obviously is for first place. You want to knock off the, reigning champion. I get it. You're out there pitching a gem. Want to make a play. That's probably one that you pocket right there. You just eat that one. So Padres lucked out on that deal. But, Rodolfo Duran did a pretty good job in general last night. I mean, he threw out Ohtani trying to steal second base. I mean, he was pretty gritty. Offensively for the Padres, not a lot. I mean, Tatis got that single off of Hurt, the Torrey Pines kid. I mean, he roped that ball at him. Andújar continues to carry the offense at this point. He was 2 for 4 with the home run and the RBI. Bogarts got the hit. That was the 4 hits that the Padres got. But you're playing a division rival, 2 of the best teams in the National League, 2 of the best teams in the National League West. You're going to have these tight fought games. And I can't believe how fast the game was. It was 2 hours and 18 minutes. It was quick. That's what happens when both teams are pitching tremendous. I mean, Yamamoto gave up the one bad pitch. to Andújar. He gave up 3 hits over 7 innings. Michael King, 4 hits over 7 innings. Both pitchers walked 2. Both pitchers had almost the same amount of strikeouts. Michael King just outdid Yamamoto by 1, 9-8. It was a good pitchers duel last night between Yamamoto and Michael King. Overall, solid game. Bullpen shut it down. Adam did give up the 1 hit and the 1 walk. Miller walked a couple again. Don't want to see too much of that. He hasn't been able to be as electric in the strike zone as we've seen in the past, but he's still just incredibly difficult to deal with for a lot of opposing hitters. He shut it down. He got his 15th save of the year, and the Padres are now in first place by half a game. I think tonight's going to be a little bit different. I think tonight's going to be a little bit more difficult for the Padres with Griffin Canning on the mound. Griffin Canning has been trending in the wrong direction as a starting pitcher right now, and it's going to be tough to try to get right against the Dodger team that just got limited to a handful of hits. Tonight's going to be a tough matchup, but again, the goal is to win 2 out of 3. Winning the first game's huge. Try to win one of the next 2 and get ready for the A's coming up over the weekend. So, phenomenal job by the Padres getting the victory last night, winning it 1-0. And as I mentioned before, the only real mistake was Rodolfo Duran trying to throw it down to first base. You just put the ball in your back pocket. That was about it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres and Dodgers again tonight. Look forward to tonight's matchup. Griffin Canning's on the mound. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. But overall, Frank, what'd you think of last night's game? I mean, 1-0 pitcher's duel. It's great that the Padres are able to come out on top on that one.
Yeah, it's nice to see pitchers duels every now and again. And yeah, it came down to one mistake that Yamamoto made early in that game. Michael King, my goodness. I mean, that was the first time this year, and we'll get to it a little bit later in the hour. That was the first time we've seen the Michael King this season, and it was incredible. What was it? 7 innings, no runs, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks through 100 pitches even. That is who you expect Michael King to be, or that is Michael King at his best. And you saw it 2 years ago. You saw it a little bit last year, and this was the first time you've really seen it this year. He was absolutely phenomenal. And also, Rodolfo Duran, we talked about his play in the 7th or 8th inning. He also had 2 caught stealings early in that game, too. He threw
out Ohtani on 1.
Yeah, he threw out Mookie Betts in the 1st inning and then threw out Ohtani in the 3rd by a mile. It's also 2 for 3 on ABS challenges, too. So the battery last night was about as perfect as you could possibly ask for. Andújar comes away with the home run, gets a single in his second at bat. He's looking fantastic, as he always does, playing himself into a much bigger role with this team. But last night was the pitcher's duel that you expect out of a guy the quality of the guys out of quality such as Michael King and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. It was a baseball fans game last night. It was a chess match, and the Padres, fortunately for them, came out on top, surviving a couple of scares late in that game.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to navigate it with the bullpen. We've seen a lot of good Padres bullpen struggle with that team up north, but they settled in, did a great job. I thought overall it was a great performance, by the pitching staff of the Padres. It'd be nice to get more runs, but again, you're going against one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball in Yamamoto. So you know what? Sometimes it just takes one, and you got it early, and then the pitching staff shut things down. And when you have a good pitching staff and you have a good pitcher going for you, any night, sometimes you just need one run. And if you're Michael King and you've played in this series now a handful of times, you understand that, you're going to have, sometimes you're not going to get too many leads in this series, and you got to be able to work with what you got. And he got the 1-run lead, and he didn't look back. And right now, I mean, you look at the ERA leaders in Major League Baseball. Michael King now top 10 with a 2.31 ERA. That's great to see at a guy that you re-signed during the offseason. I know he's got options. We'll see what happens, going up in the end of the year, but you got to bring him back. to be an ace. He's coming off of a year where he had multiple injuries last year, and he's just picking up right where he left off before he got hurt. I mean, top 10 in baseball in ERA. I mean, and that puts you in top 7 in the National League. Just a great performance out of Michael King. And coming up in tomorrow, Randy Vasquez, who's 18th in baseball in ERA, will be toeing the rubber against Shohei Ohtani. It should be a good matchup coming up on Wednesday. So overall, pretty good performance. We're going to take a deeper dive into the game last night. We're going to talk more about Padres and Dodgers later on in the show. We'll talk about some things that are going on in Major League Baseball. But we're off and running here on the Braden Surprenant Show. And again, like this is a series, and we've talked about it before. I talked about it yesterday. Got to be excited for the win. Can't act like it's the World Series, because it's not. Good, solid win against the Dodgers. You want to try to take 2 out of 3 when you can at home. You're going to play them one more time at home, and then you got 2 more times against them on the road. But I thought overall it was great for the Padres to get game 1. And the pitching staff really carried the day. For the San Diego Padres. So overall, good performance out of the Pods. Good to see them beat the Dodgers 1-0. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the offense and what went wrong for them, but also, a deeper look into some of the ins and outs of last night's game. Want to get your phone calls as well. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Good start to the series. Braden Surprenant Show just getting started. San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97 through the Fan.
The NHL Conference Finals are nearly set, and we're getting a heavyweight showdown between the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights. Nathan MacKinnon is dominating the playoffs again with 13 points, but Vegas counters with Mitch Marner, who already has 18 points so far this postseason and looks completely unstoppable right now. Colorado enters as the Stanley Cup favorite after winning the President's Trophy and averaging over 4 goals per game this postseason, but Vegas has become one of the NHL's ultimate playoff franchises, reaching the Final Four for the 5th time in just 10 seasons. Meanwhile, out east, it is pure chaos, with Buffalo and Montreal heading to a massive Game 7, while the Carolina Hurricanes continue steamrolling everybody behind the resurgence of Taylor Hall, who suddenly looks like an MVP again. The Stanley Cup playoffs have officially hit another level. The Stanley Cup playoffs are officially reaching another level as the Western Conference Finals are now set. It'll be the Colorado Avalanche versus the Vegas Golden Knights in a heavyweight showdown featuring 2 recent Stanley Cup champions and some of the biggest stars in the NHL. Meanwhile, out east, still pure chaos with Game 7 between the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens scheduled for tonight as we record this, while the Carolina Hurricanes continue looking like the most complete team in hockey behind the resurgence of Taylor Hall. We'll start off with the Western Conference Final, the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights. This is the matchup that everybody wanted. Colorado versus Vegas. Star power everywhere. Speed, offense, playoff experience, elite coaching, elite goaltending. This series has absolutely everything. The Avalanche rolled through the first 2 rounds, beating the LA Kings in 4 and the Minnesota Wild in 5. Vegas survived a tougher 6-game series against the Utah Mammoth and then another tougher 6-game series against the Anaheim Ducks. And now we get the 2 teams that know exactly what it takes to win the Stanley Cup. The Avs won it in 2022, and the Vegas and the Golden Knights won it in 2023, the very next season. This series will be showcased with their 2 biggest stars, each team's biggest star, Nathan MacKinnon and Mitch Marner. The headline of this series is obviously going to be Nathan MacKinnon. He has 13 points already this postseason and continues to play at a historic playoff pace. Every shift feels dangerous. Every rush feels like a scoring chance. But Vegas counters with arguably the hottest playmaker in hockey right now, which is Mitch Marner. Marner has exploded for 18 points and looks like a completely different player than one critics questioned in Toronto just a few years ago. Honestly, this postseason feels like a revenge tour for Marner. And Vegas suddenly has multiple scoring threats rolling in at once, including Pavel Dorofeyev, who leads the playoffs with 9 goals. This series might come down to one simple question. Can Vegas survive Colorado's speed in transition? Because when the Avalanche are flying through the neutral zone and flying up and down the ice, they look almost impossible to defend. Now, that being said, Colorado does look like the favorite to win the Stanley Cup here still. They enter the series being the favorite not only to win the West, but to win the Cup entirely. And it makes sense. They won the President's Trophy with 121 points. They're scoring 4 goals per game in the playoffs, and that's a scary balance. 17 different players have scored already this postseason for the Avalanche. That's almost everyone on an NHL playoff roster. That means you cannot just focus on the stars like Nathan MacKinnon. You have to deal with the depth scoring as well, the blue line activation, and the goaltending from Scott Wedgwood, who's quietly putting together one of the best postseason runs among the remaining goaltenders. But Vegas has already proven that they can handle the pressure. This franchise has made the playoffs has made the Final Four, the Western Conference Final, in 5 of its first 10 seasons in existence, which is honestly ridiculous and just signals sustained winning. Meanwhile, over on the other side, the Buffalo Sabres are taking on the Montreal Canadiens in Game 7. This series has been absolutely insane. The road team keeps winning. Momentum is swinging every night. High-scoring chaos every single night. For Buffalo, it starts with their captain, Rasmus Dahlin, and sniper Tage Thompson. For Montreal, the pressure falls on Nick Suzuki to lead the Canadiens' offense in the biggest game of the season. But honestly, the X factor might be the play of Buffalo Sabres goaltender Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. He has completely shut down Montreal in Game 6 and may have saved the Buffalo Sabres season. Whoever wins this game will have to face a very, very dangerous Carolina Hurricanes team in the Eastern Conference Final, because with the way Taylor Hall...
10-17 on a Tuesday, coming off a Padres victory against the Los Angeles Dodgers. A 1-0 victory. It's great. But again, Padres fans, just another night at the yard. Another night at the yard. Just happens to be against the Dodgers.
It's what it was for most, at least.
Yes, I would say so. You got to view these as just another games. They're expected results. That's how you have to view it. Expected. We're moving on to the next game. It was interesting, and before we dive deeper into this Padres-Dodgers game, that it did feel like an October game. I will say that. I mean, the intensity is there and everything like that, but in terms of the overall season, this game and this series matters as much as all the other ones. That's the case. Yeah, it's a little bit more exciting when you beat the Dodgers, but you don't get 2 wins in the standings for it. You didn't get all these wins. You don't get extra love. You don't get it's not any more valuable in the regular season than all the other games. And what points to that, too, is the last 2 times the Padres played the Dodgers in the playoffs, the team that won the playoff series lost the regular season series. The season the Padres beat the Dodgers in the playoffs, they lost the regular season series. The next time they played them, in the playoffs, Padres won the season series against the Dodgers, and then they lost in the playoffs. It doesn't matter. They're fun games. They're exciting games. Little extra juice, but it doesn't count for anything more. Yet, yesterday, they were trying to make it bigger than it really needed to be. Not the players, but the media was trying to make it bigger than it needed to be. Yeah, it was a fun game. It was an October-level game when you play out there. Tonight's going to be the same thing, but you can't go into that game thinking it's bigger than what all the other games are. You just can't. But they tried to make that happen anyway. Here's the pregame. We had to pull this from the pregame show, from the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show. Here's the pregame scrum. And you know what? Good on Craig Stammen for just being like, no, we're not treating this anything bigger than it needs to be. But they were really trying to emphasize how important this series is.
Because of the tiebreaker at the end of the season, a series like this in May is still a huge series.
Yeah, every series we play is a huge series. Anytime we play someone in our division or in the National League, it always has implications for what could happen at the end of the season. That's why we try to play every game at our best.
But it's almost like you have to look differently about how you clinch playoff spots these days because of the head-to-heads at the end of the season.
Possibly, but you can't think about that on a day-to-day basis. We've got to go out, play our game. Our pitchers have to throw strikes. Our hitters have to hit the mistakes. We got to take advantage of the mistakes the other teams make and score more runs than they do.
So you don't sit down with the guys and say, hey, it's the Dodgers. This is a more important series.
I did not, and I don't believe that either.
Why would he do that? Why would he do that? As somebody that coaches, I would never say that ever in a pregame. Why would you psych out your own team before you play a game? Hey, guys. I know this only counts for the same amount of wins in the win column or losses in the L column as every other game. But right before we play, let's talk about how incredible this team is that we're about to play and how difficult and how much more of a bigger deal this is. Come on, man. Give me a break. Give me a break. I mean, the way that, somebody in the YouTube chat says that's what Dave Roberts does. I mean, Dave Roberts kind of has antics on the field. I don't think he's sitting there in the clubhouse being like, come on, guys, it's the Padres. Give me a break, dude. Are you kidding me? They're trying to psych them out. Good on Craig Stammen. I totally agree with Craig Stammen. Frank, what is 13 divided by 162?
9.
0.08. Pretty close. You know what that means? 8%. 13 to 162 is 8%. That's 8% of the games over the full season is against the Dodgers. 8%. If we want to go back to the 19 games that they had, back when they used to play 19 games against one opponent, and you're like, oh, yeah, these guys kind of matter. Yeah, they kind of did. The Padres got to survive everybody else, though. I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to play the what happens if we tie at the end of the season? I mean, the odds of you tying with the Dodgers at the end of the season are kind of minimal when you really think about it. I mean, it's nice in some of these series, I think, to get a reason to get excited to watch as a fan. Not you don't need that for the Dodgers series, but when you play the Cardinals, right? It's hey, you might have to be competing with this team at the end of the year. It'd be nice to have that extra half game, but it's not the end all be all. That's like a safety net at the end of the year to feel a little bit better about yourself. You're like, oh, well, we're actually a half game up because of that's more for the fans on that particular deal. It's not for the players aren't going to care. But when you're playing this team 8% of the season and you get down to the end of the year and you might be in tiebreaker situation, there are other games that impact that more than just the Padres-Dodgers games, right? If I made it through the entire season and I end up being tied with the Dodgers and they happen to beat me one extra time than I beat them and I just miss on the division, you could look back to other games that they're going to stumble on and be like, they should have won those games. I get the importance of it. The fun is there, but for the players and for the organizations, especially good ones, it's business as usual, Frank. That's what good organizations do. I love the fact that Craig Stammen fought back on that, was like, you know what? No, this is like any other series to us. Obviously, it's going to be cool to see how we stack up against a really good opponent. I thought he said all the right things. They were trying to force a narrative on Craig. I thought Craig did a great job.
He did. And I think the one thing that we're also forgetting here, and I think that reporter was forgetting as well, is these aren't T-ballers where you have to tell them how good the other team is so they have to pay attention. No, they're professional athletes. They know very, very well how good the Dodgers are. You don't need to tell
Everybody
them.
knows.
You don't need to rah-rah support and get them together and get them all tugging the same way. They know. They know how good the Dodgers are. They know how important these games are. They know how important these games are to the season series as well. So that's something at this level of sports, especially, you don't need to tell them that. They are well aware of who they are playing.
If you can't, I mean, every team in baseball gets geared up for this team. Why? Because they've won the World Series the last 2 years. Everybody complains about how much money they spend, right? And they're going to get everybody's best shot almost every single night. If you need an extra pep talk to get up for the Dodgers, you don't even have a heartbeat at that point. I mean, you got to have that's already built in. What you don't want to do is you don't want to overhype an opponent. I see this happen all the time in sports. And what happens is when you overhype your opponent and be like, they're the greatest thing that's ever existed, and we got to beat them, out. You psych everybody out, and you don't play your game because you're worried about the other team instead of yourself. They got a bunch of, that's why I used to say this, and I know it's the high school level, it's a little bit different. It's like, they got 15, 18-year-olds just like we got 15, 18-year-olds. That's literally it. It's the same thing. Like, you got to go out there and be able to compete. You can't put them on a pedestal because mentally it's going to psych you out. And that's how the Dodgers roll on teams all the time. I see it all the time in sports. The logo and the jersey psychs people out because they go, this is big, this is big. And you know what happens when you're worried about the other team? What do? You make mistakes. And what do the Dodgers do the best of?
Capitalize on mistakes.
Just completely destroying organizations on mistakes. Last night, the Padres were able to avoid letting the Dodgers capitalize on massive mistakes. The Padres made a handful. They made a handful of mistakes. Everybody's going to make mistakes in this game. The fact that the Padres were able to overcome probably not a great decision from Rodolfo Duran trying to make a play. You love the effort there, just not the time and place. Hard in those particular moments. That could have spiraled into a 2-1 lead for the Dodgers, right? Mason Miller walking a couple of guys. We've seen that with previous closers turn into a Padres L. So the fact that they were able to overcome the mistakes and not overhype the series, I think is a big play. I think the mental aspect of these games is important for this team as they play them the rest of the year. They have to be in a position where they can't let mistakes start to spiral because that's how the Dodgers feast as an organization. Yes, they're really good at what they do. They have a lot of good players, but they also feast on mistakes. And we've seen that time and time again with LA. How many times have we seen them come back on inferior teams, right? Inferior teams jump out early at Dodger Stadium, like the Marlins or something like that. And then all of a sudden it gets to the ninth inning and disaster happens. It's the mental side of the game. And I thought the Padres did that well last night.
Yeah, they were great. They handled everything they needed to handle last night. And even when things started to get out of control in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, they were able to calm down, come back to center, and be able to execute the way they needed to in order to get out of those innings. There were 3 pretty good jams that King, Adam, and Miller got themselves into in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, and they were all able to work out of them.
That's the difference for a lot of teams in playing the Dodgers, and that's why for a little bit of time I felt like a couple of years ago, by overhyping the series and getting it super excited, and everybody just getting way too emotional about it, leads to disaster. And you never know. I think the Padres have a good clubhouse in a sense of being mentally tough enough to not deal with that. And I think as pros, but sometimes you feed off of what the media is saying and what the outside noise is saying. Try to control it a little bit. And I think the Padres did a good job. I think the Padres fans did a good job. Hey, expected. That's how you got to view these. When you beat the Dodgers right now, it's got to be it's expected result. We're playing them at home, taking 2 out of 3. Let's not make this a bigger deal than it really needs to be. But still have fun. There's a difference, right? Us fans, you can have fun and enjoy the game, and it's going to be a fun game, and the rivalry's fun. But you can't act like when you win, you won the World Series, and you also can't act like when you lost, the season's over. And that's what our message was yesterday. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Dexter in Spring Valley. Dexter, what's going on, man?
Hey, now I'm back to the sports mode, guys. you brought up a really good sports metaphor early on in this particular segment. So I'm going to go back to movies, pop culture. It reminded me of that scene in the middle of the second act of the all-time classic sports movie Hoosiers, when Gene Hackman had, they're at the big gymnasium. He measured the distance from the free throw line to the rim, the height from the rim to the floor, and the thing he said was, this was the same dimensions as our gym back home. And I think that, it's exactly what exactly what you said. As a coach, show your players everything's fine, everything's exactly the same. But the other thing too is I can't help but to think that reporter in that clip that you played, I don't know if he's an LA-based reporter, but I'm guessing that it sounds a lot like he's kind of bought into the Doe Your Blue Kool-Aid, because I think he was trying to psych Stammen out. And the best thing about that is, you're right, Stammen wasn't going to have any of it. So, I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very glad that you're bringing up all these points, because a lot of fans are super, super passionate, and all they see is what's past, the next thing, and they're not looking at what's in front of them.
Right. Absolutely.
So, really.
And I appreciate the phone call, Dexter. Thank you very much. It's true. I mean, it's dealing with kids is different. These guys are professionals. You don't have to do it as much. That's why, like, Frank brought up the comparison to T-ball, right? Of like explaining things to kids. But human nature, it happens like that when you overhype something and you make it bigger than it needs to be. Your mind plays games with you on your expectations. It's like, I forget what the official scientific term of it is, but it's like when your brain psychs yourself out, when you're about to have coffee and it's going to be hot, but you don't know how hot it is, and all of a sudden the mental picture you give yourself is it's going to be incredibly hot and burn your tongue, and then you're like constantly trying to fight off like before you even take it, you're just psyching yourself out. That's what happens when you overhype series. I mean, I see it all the time on the opposite side as a coach. I mean, and I see it now with my friend coaching at Scripps Ranch. She plays Cathedral. I watch her girls do exactly what opponents do. They see the name and the jerseys, and it's just like mental overload for a lot of these kids. And they just can't handle it. And the teams that don't care about the red and gold and like what we look like, uniform wise, and like knowing the name, they do well. That's like half the battle, and that you can apply that to any sport. Like one Reese in the chat said, Ohio State overhypes the Michigan game every year, and they burn themselves every year. It matters like that. When you don't give a bleep about what the other team is, and you just go out there and play, regardless of who they may have or what the prestige is of their jersey, you go out there and you kick ass. When you worry about what the other team is and the importance of the game and how big the game is, and you make it bigger than it needs to be, you crumble and you make mistakes, and the other team fuels themselves off of it. I thought those are some interesting comments. I love the way Craig Stammen handled that yesterday in the pregame. That was awesome. Michael King was amazing yesterday. We're going to talk about what stood out to us in this outing. Maybe we saw the Michael King he expects to be. We'll talk about that when we come back, as well as some offense from the Padres, or lack thereof, on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standings Room Sports Station 97 through the Fan. There's a look at some of them. We're going to have Frank kind of walk around as I kind of go through what some of these promotional items are. But the Padres today announced their 2026 promotional schedule, including giveaways, theme games, and events. Every homestand, you can get single game tickets for the 2026 regular season home games on sale on Tuesday, February 3rd. So you got to still wait until next Tuesday at 10 in the morning Pacific time by visiting www.padres.com. Season ticket members have priority access to tickets and enjoy the best available seats. Season ticket memberships have sold out for the fourth consecutive season due to franchise record demand, and therefore all remaining tickets for the 2026 season are available on a single game basis. So These will be, you could buy tickets starting on February 3rd. There are 15 all-fan giveaways planned for the 2026, highlighted by fan favorites such as high-quality wearables, stylish hats, and bobbleheads, all of which take place during select home games throughout the season, limited to the first 40,000 fans in attendance. There are 3 different styles of hats this year, and there's a bunch of other stuff. We're going to get to that, but we'll just kind of go through the beginning of the season to the end. And see if you can follow along here, Frank, with what we got. But the first giveaway will be on Friday, March 27th. That's the day after opening day. That's the Tony Gwynn opening day. There's going to be an opening series scarf presented by Sequan Casino Resort. Start the season in style with the Cozy Padres opening series scarf, which looks nice. It's great. Nice little scarf. At the beginning games, the early games at Petco Park are usually kind of chilly. But that's a good-looking scarf right there. So that will be against the Tigers on Friday, March 27th. On Monday, March 30th, this one's super cool. On Monday, March 30th, they have the night. I'm a sucker for 1998 stuff. They have a 1998 belt bag, which is perfect for it gets you. It's a bag that you could bring into the ballpark, which is awesome. I know my mom's got a bag like that. My girlfriend's got a bag like that. There's a lot of different. My sister's got a bag like that, and a lot of people use them to get in the stadiums, but now you can have a Padres one, which is great. So 1998 colors too. So they've seen they've debuted the original one that they had. They've had a City Connect one, and now they got a Padres 1998 belt bag. So that will be pretty cool for everybody out there. That's Monday, March 30th. On to Thursday, April 9th against the Rockies will be the Manny's Hot Corner bobblehead. So it's Manny Machado playing third base. They got the flames around the side. It's presented by McDonald's. First 40,000 in attendance. Display-worthy collectible features Machado at third base and is a keepsake for all the faithful. That's a nice little. I like the little bottom there. That's pretty cool. What is that? Is that the armband? Pink armband? Yeah, it looks nice. Again, if you want to go back, you can rewatch this on YouTube and take a look at everything in the on the deal here. Let's move on to the next one. Wednesday, April 15th versus Seattle Mariners. The puffer vest presented by State Farm. That's that vest right there on the table. That's pretty nice. The best part about this is, like, when I was a kid, like, some of the giveaways were kind of lame, but now they have made them so legit. I mean, that's a nice little vest right there. It's presented by State Farm. That will be, again, on April 15th against the Seattle Mariners, a Wednesday game at 6:40. Not a Wednesday day game. It's a Wednesday night game. First 40,000 fans get that. Against the Cubs, there's a waffle beanie presented by Motorola Razr. Waffle beanies on April 28th against the Cubs. Top off your fit with a soft waffle beanie made for night games at the ball and a ballpark photo op. This item is limited to the first 40,000 fans in attendance as well. So that's pretty cool. I like the bobblehead. The one they had last year was cool too, but the beanie. The one they had last year was cool too. First bobblehead for Mason Miller, Thursday, May 7th, at least in a Padres uniform. They got the Mason Miller bobblehead. Watch your speed. Elite pitching with a bobblehead that nods to Miller's clutch moments on the mound. He's got fire coming off of the baseball on his delivery, which is super cool. You can bring that a little bit closer to the camera if you want. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So Mason Miller bobblehead giveaway Thursday, May 7th. And Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Padres get a 1-0 victory last night over the Los Angeles Dodgers. Great to see how the Padres did. And we talked about it in the last segment. I mean, you can't make the series bigger than it really needs to be. It's a series in May, okay? Every series is important. As much as I don't like coach speak, I agree with this coach speak in this particular sense. This is one of those situations where you don't want to overhype a series. It's a lot different than maybe trying to find a little juice to watch the game, right? Like when the Padres played the Cardinals, it's like, let's find some juice to this. Or like when the Padres played, the Rockies, what are we saying on the show? Like, hey, you know what? You got to be able to take care of business against teams that are not very good. You get somewhere you rack up your wins. Like, to me, those games are more important than Padres Dodgers in a standings perspective. Are they more fun to watch? No, absolutely not. Not more fun to watch. But in terms of the overall year for the season, you need to win those games. Those games, I would almost make the argument, Frank, again, not viewership-wise, they're not as fun, but the games against the bad teams are more important for the Padres than the ones against the Dodgers in terms of the overall standings, because if you struggle against teams you're supposed to be beating, then it puts more pressure on you against, teams like the Brewers and the Dodgers and some of the teams you're competing with.
That's a fair point for sure. And especially, they make up so much more of your schedule, and it more or less signals what kind of team you are, whether or not you beat a whether or not you beat a bad team. If you're a good team, you're supposed to handle business against teams like that. So yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that entirely. You do need to be up and you do need to be ready to go against these big teams in order to beat them, and if you want to be able to compete with them, especially in the postseason. But yeah, you do have to be able to take care of business against a bigger part of your schedule, which is the bad teams.
Right. I mean, that's what good team, and that's the thing in professional sports that I think we lose a lot, because we watch every game. We're in a vacuum. You're focused on the Padres. You're locked into Padres baseball. You don't really pay too much attention to a lot of the other teams out there. It's hard to do. What are you going to do? Sit at home and watch baseball nonstop? I mean, record every game and just you got people have to live. They're living their lives. They're working. They got all these other things going on. If they have time to watch baseball, they're going to go to appointment viewership of the San Diego Padres. I mean, I had this conversation the other day at football practice with one of our coaches. Like, oh, wow, the Padres aren't very good this year, right? I mean, like in terms of their offense, this is going to come crashing down. I'm like, do you watch anybody else? I mean, the A's are in first place right now. The A's had a no-hitter through 8 and then lost the game on the next 2 batters on a single and a home run. Phillies, incredibly disappointing to start the season, although they're starting to find their mark. But if you watch other teams, you really start to understand that, yeah, you're not going to get a perfect team that's super dominant out there. And what good teams do, and it's too early to look at those numbers right now in terms of a sample size, but if you start looking at the previous years of teams that have made the playoffs and teams that have advanced in the playoffs, they have around, and there's going to be outliers in there, but they have around 500 records against teams that are above 500. Where do all those teams get their wins? They beat bad teams. Like in professional sports, good teams beat bad teams and go about 500 against really good teams. Look at the NFL. Look at the National Football League. You start looking at the teams that made the playoffs last year, start looking at their games against teams that are also above 500. You go through them, they're playing 500 ball. You see what they do against bad teams at the bottom of the NFL, they're destroying them. And that's where you get your 12 wins. That's where you get your playoff season, 12-win, 13, 14-win seasons in the National Football League. That's professional sports. I think a lot of people just assume and think, and I used to be like this too. It's like you just think that the teams at the top are just destroying everybody. That's not the case. You go 500 against teams that are really good, and you beat up on teams that are bad. That's what makes you a good team. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I mean, we could look at it right now if you want. It's going to be a small sample size. You know what the Dodgers are against teams above 500? If you had a guess? One of the better teams in the National League.
How many games have they played?
16.
4-12.
They're 8-8. 500. Padres have played 19 games against teams above 500. They're 9-10. Now, early in the season, you're going to have some outliers, right? Like the Cubs ripped off like 10 or 15, like 10 straight games twice. They're 22-14. They got a great record against teams above 500. That's going to balance itself out at the end of the year. Braves are 13-6 against teams above 500. Not a single team in the National League East is above 500 against teams above 500. The National League Central, they have a little bit more of a jump right now with teams above 500, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to start coming back down to earth. You know what the New York Yankees are against teams above 500?
Oh, they were just talking about this. They're like 1-8 or something
They're
like that.
0-6. They haven't won a single game against a team above 500. And by the way, that is changing every single day based on teams that are getting records, right?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the season, where you're beating up on teams that have jumped out to bad starts, all of a sudden those teams, because they go get better than 500, and look at your record shoots to the roof against teams above 500. Good teams take care of business against bad teams, and then they go 500 against everybody else. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays, who have 31 wins, they're 31-15 in the American League East, or on the season. They happen to be in the American League East. They're 13-11 against teams above 500. So the Padres go about, they go 7-6, 6-7 against the Dodgers. But they beat up on the Rockies and the Giants. They're going to be a playoff team. Like that's just how this works, Frank.
Yeah, and again, that's the bulk of your schedule, as we mentioned earlier, is bad teams, and that's the kind of those beating those kind of teams, and you're playing against those kind of teams are who defines you as a team. If you can't beat those bad teams, well, then you're not very good. The Padres have done a very good job so far this season of being able to steal wins and get wins without, being able to hit much this season. And that should really show you how good this team is. It's not sustainable the way they're doing it, but this is how they've been able to win games this year so far. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Padres went maybe 6-7, 5-8 against the Dodgers this year, because that they are a good team. You're prepping to possibly meet them in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, that's why, winning game one was huge. Hopefully they could do that again tonight. It's going to be tough. We'll see how Griffin Canning does as he bounces back. But Michael King last night was outstanding. 7-inning shutout, no earned runs, only 4 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, 12 whiffs, and a strong 35% on called strike whiff rate on 100 pitches. And 35 of the pitches that he threw were either a called strike or a whiff. That's efficient and dominant right there. Stuff was below average for him in terms of his context, a C+. Locations were a B-. Results in the box score, A+ for Michael King. Four-seamer set at 94.2 miles an hour. He had good extension on his fastball, solid vertical movement. He was using a good pitch mix against lefties and righties yesterday. He used the changeup a lot. And Mark DeRosa was talking about that on MLB Network this morning about the use of the changeup for Michael King. But he used the four-seam fastball 27% of the time against lefties, mixed in that changeup through the sinker a lot, all above 20% of the time. Didn't throw the sinker, sweeper, or sweeper as much as he usually does. Threw a lot more sliders against righties. Threw the fastball a lot, the changeup a lot. Didn't throw the sinker as much. Way down on the sweeper, and he threw the slider a little bit more. But overall, the way he was mixing his pitches, the way he was pitching yesterday, he looked really good. But did he like what he saw yesterday? Do we have any comments from Michael King? Let's hear from Michael King after last night's start.
said that was one of your best games as a Padre. Do you feel like that was your best game?
Absolutely not. No. Craig's being nice there. Ruben and I talked for a while after I was done in the dugout, and I still, I feel like my sinker command's still not there. Sweeper was really bad today. But like I said, Duran called a really good game, and that was able to keep them off balance. So I can't wait to have all pitches, and I'll let you know when I have all 4 of those, so we can have a good one.
He didn't even think he had a good night. I mean, I'm not surprised that he didn't use the sinker. He said the sinker and the sweeper weren't very good. He didn't throw it a lot. To the fastball a lot, to the changeup a lot. And you know what? Those pitches were working. You're going to rely on those pitches a lot more when you feel it coming out of the hand, maybe in warmups or even in the game. So that's the sign of a good veteran pitcher right there, Frank. He knows what's working that day. He's got a good feel for it. And that was what his attack arsenal was against the Dodgers. A lot of fastball, a lot of changeup. I mean, that was what you saw yesterday against righties. Against lefties, saw a lot of fastballs mixed in the slider. He didn't like his sweeper yesterday. You heard him say it. He didn't like the feel of his sinker. He hasn't had the command he wants. But I'm telling you right now, if he doesn't even think he's pitching to the level he is able to pitch, and he is still putting up the numbers he is putting up, I mean, Michael King is having a great year for the Padres already. He's got a 2.1 WAR, 4-2 on the year, 2.31 ERA in his 10 starts. He's gotten 58 1/3 innings this season. I mean, he has been everything that you wanted when you re-signed him to a contract during the offseason.
Oh, for sure, especially coming off of just that freak injury that he had last year that kept him out for a vast majority of it. And you can see on his pitcher list stats, which is where we're getting this on Twitter, he was great against right-handed hitters, not so great against lefties. And a lot of his stuff would have been breaking in towards left-handed hitters last night. And that slider and sweeper, he's been missing on those for a vast majority of this season. So he's still, whatever's been ailing him is still very much ailing him on those 2 pitches. But if you see, like, his stuff was only a C+, location B-. That's average. But he was able to get the outs that he needed when he was able to, and a lot of credit going to Rodolfo Duran, as it should, for last.
Yeah, Rodolfo Duran has been good. I mean, he has been really good this season for the Padres and filling in, and he is playing. You know, the guy's hungry. He spent how many years in the minor leagues? 12? 12 years in the minor leagues. I mean, he's 28 years old. He's been waiting for this opportunity. The guy's playing like he wants to stay, obviously. And I think, you know, the bat's one thing, but he's doing a great job, and the pitchers are believing in him. You know, Michael King gave Rodolfo Duran a lot of hype yesterday and a lot of props. And I thought he did a good job with, you know, throwing a couple of would-be base stealers out. He was good with the ABS challenges. And the fact that he's calling a good game and pitchers like throwing to him, I think is huge for this Padres team who's missing out on Luis Camposano right now, which I can't believe we're even saying based on how people were reacting to Luis Camposano being on this team during spring training. So Rodolfo Duran is playing to try to get more of a role in this team. Miguel Andújar is playing to get more of a role on this team. And I don't know how much more of a role is that, but you know, you are almost at a point now, if you're the Padres, where you have to start this guy every day. Like, Miguel Andújar needs to play almost every single day. Until you get your stars swinging the bat and being a lot better, Miguel Andújar offensively has been more... I think he's already earned his $4 million. Honestly. Chalk that up to like such a favorable contract, even if he like doesn't do anything the rest of the year. It's like, hey, guy's off to a great start. Help the team out. But how much more of a role does Andújar need or deserve? We'll talk about that in the 11 o'clock hour. But Miguel Andújar has been awesome. And it's just super awesome to watch from an offensive perspective. Where are you going to play him in the field? Well, that remains to be seen. Maybe he's the DH every day. We'll see what the Padres decide to do. But good, solid game last night for the Pods. Try to get the offense going a little bit. We'll talk more about Miguel Andújar when we come back. We will also talk more about some of the details of the Padres from last night and Mason Miller's numbers the last couple of outings. Interesting. What kind of pitcher is Mason Miller? We'll talk about that. All guests join us on the SCCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. Hour number 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Thanks again for tuning in to us today. We really appreciate that. I have seen. Did you see some of the stuff in the YouTube chat about the Dodgers broadcast? Were they were complaining about how loud it was at Petco Park, or were they complaining about Bobby Cressy's organ? I've seen, no.
Anyway,
yeah, I haven't seen. I've seen the tweets about it, but I couldn't tell.
That's cool.
Because Cody in the chat said, "Does anyone have the link to the video of the LA announcers complaining it's too loud at Petco?" Somebody get this man the link. I gotta see this myself. I'm trying to see.
Well, I mean, he does have a point. Because when you get all of those birds screeching at one time, it's really hard to walk through those aisles. It's really annoying.
I guess Ben and Woods talked about it. I need to see that video for sure. Them complaining about how loud it is in Petco Park. Yeah, man. We got a pretty entertaining facility. Got a pretty loud environment here in San Diego. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to talk about the Padres offense in just a second. We'll also talk about who the hidden MVP of yesterday's game was as well. But first, want to get to your phone calls. Let's get out to Marcus and Menifee. Marcus, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
I'm doing well after a Padres win last night.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I was prepared for a sweep. I mean, worst case scenario, the sky's falling and everything. But, I mean, I guess when you get both Dodger fans and the Friar faithful together, it's going to be maybe a little bit louder than Dodger Stadium, but come on, dude. Come on. Get over it. Get over yourself. Anyways, let's go for the win today or tomorrow. If not, next series, move on. That's all I got, guys.
All right. Appreciate it, Marcus. Try to take 2 out of 3. Always love it. Always need it. Padres Dodgers felt like October and May. Yes or no? I'd agree. Anytime these two teams play, it's like a playoff series.
Especially the first meeting after a month and a half, you're playing for first place. So, yeah, there was a little bit extra juice to it.
Xander Bogaerts yesterday after the game compared the atmosphere in the ninth inning to postseason baseball, saying it was as close to playoff as it could be. Crowd energy, always fantastic. Padres fans do such a great job. It's one thing to go to the ballpark and sell out games. It's another thing to actually be loud and engaging and exciting and excited for the Padres. And Padres fans have done that for years now. I mean, it's been fun to watch. And despite moving in first place in National League West, Craig Stammen, manager of the Padres, downplayed the standing significance, reinforcing the organization's belief that May standings don't define October outcomes. I agree with that statement too. Again, I like the way that they are viewing this series mentally. Just another series of trying to get wins. Just another series trying to get wins. Like, are you stoked that you're in first place? Yeah, great. It's great to be in first place. Can you sit that back and relax now that you're a half game in first place? Absolutely not. What does being a half game in first place in May do for anybody? Nothing. Does nothing. The game was entertaining last night, though, from a lot of different perspectives. Elite pitching last night, defensive execution, one-run pressure, constant tactical decisions mixed in. And there was a lot of key moments last night, which I think lead to a hidden MVP of the game. Some of the key moments. Rodolfo Duran threw out Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani trying to steal. We talked about that earlier in the show. Fernando turned perhaps the cleanest double play yet at second base. Jackson Merrill made a huge run-saving catch in center field. I mean, these are all the little things that add up over the course of a game. These are all the little things that help you win, where if they are not able to do these things, Padres are looking at a loss right now, especially with the way the offense played. Jason Adam escaped danger against Ohtani and Betts in the 8th inning. Mason Miller survived another chaotic 9th inning save. The game last night was highlighted by how dominant defense and pitching was for both teams and creating drama without the offense exploding. I mean, last night, chalk it up to a game that was still entertaining even though it was only one run. And there's entertaining games like that. Let's talk about the unsung hero of the game. Rodolfo Duran quietly changed the entire game last night. He did. He was great. Michael King, we just played some sound from Michael King, who was talking about Rodolfo Duran and how great Rodolfo was. He could have been the hitting MVP. He erased two of baseball's best base runners on the pass, Betts and Ohtani, which is impressive in its own. In this day and age of being able to steal bases with the bigger bases and you can only pick over twice, it's hard to throw base runners out. There's not two more difficult runners to throw out Major League Baseball than Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani. And he had great throws, great pop times. And it wasn't just, Michael King giving Rodolfo Duran praise about the way he was calling a game. As Andrew Bogart's talking about his arm strength, Duran's arm strength, and his overall game management as well. I mean, from the defensive impact, he was great last night, Frank.
Oh, he was. He was absolutely fantastic. And I think with how far Mookie Betts was caught, I think he was probably a hit and run that they called in the first inning, and Freeman struck out, got Mookie Betts by 1.5 miles, inning over. But yeah, I mean, that is not what you expect. What you've gotten defensively, especially out of Rodolfo Duran, is not what you expect out of a minor league lifer coming up in an emergency because your catcher broke his toe. He has been above and beyond what the Padres could have expected out of him, and the fact that we're seeing him as often as we have is a true testament to how good he has been with this pitching staff and how good he has been defensively, and also with the ABS system. He got a couple of strikeouts for Michael King turned into strikeouts. So he has been absolutely phenomenal in a role that he was never really meant to have.
He's 5 for 5 on challenges now this season. I mean, and here's the thing. This just shows the depth the Padres have, right? I mean, you look at the catching situation for the Padres the last decade has been awful because they haven't had really an everyday catcher. They haven't had, and it's not like, Duran's offense is what it is. He's not on the team to hit anyway. He's on the team. He's a depth piece that is filling in as Campusano is on the mend. But he has done a great job in filling in when somebody goes down. It's not a situation where you lose value. I mean, you actually gain probably some more defensive value. And Campusano was great on ABS challenges so far this year. He's been great defensively too. And when he comes back, it's going to be awesome for him to swing the bat and get back in the lineup. But having Rodolfo Duran as your third catcher as part of this team and being able to call upon him and be able for him to fill in and make plays, that's what makes a good team. Good teams have guys that come back, that have guys that fill in, that get called upon, and you don't miss a beat. And the Padres catching situation, now, offense aside, because the offense hasn't been very good across the board for all positions, you have gotten everything and more from Rodolfo Duran filling in as a catcher to the point where he's like fighting for even more playing time with Freddie Fermin continuing to struggle with the ABS challenges and struggle at the plate. I mean, it's getting so bad with Freddie, who I still think's got, I still think he's got that dog in him. But it's almost like you want to see if he needs to get glasses. Some of the stuff that Freddie challenges is just is interesting to me. And you just want him to be right at the plate because you know how good he has been in the past. And I think Freddie Fermin being a backup catcher on this team is a good role for him, especially with the way Campusano's been playing. And right now, Duran, with the way that Freddie Fermin is hitting, or should I say lack thereof, what's the difference between Duran starting more games than Freddie Fermin at this point? I mean, he's bringing you more defensively. The offense is relatively the same, and he's throwing guys out, and he's so far, early sample size, 5 for 5 on the challenges. But the importance on those caught stealings, I think, we kind of we haven't talked too much about yet. I mean, he kept runners out of scoring position throwing those guys out. It reduced Michael King's pitch count throwing those guys out, prevented a lot of momentum swings throwing those guys out. I mean, you look at last night's game and how everything played out for the Padres to win 1-0. That's one of those little things that the Padres took care of that gave them an advantage in yesterday's game. And it comes from a guy that spent most of his career in the minor leagues and is finally getting a shot because of an injury. And you know what? He's been awesome. He has been awesome. That's why it was so cool to see him hit a home run in Seattle. He starts to hit a little bit more, and you're going to have an interesting decision to make, I think, with the catching situation. I really think you do. I mean, Rodolfo Duran was so not on the radar at the beginning of the season, like during spring training, that when we were doing our exercise for options, we didn't even know how many options the guy had. Does he have options? I would imagine maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I think he does. Rodolfo Duran.
Yeah, he just got called up, I would have to assume. By the way, another person
should have
who
two options.
Another person who has options? Freddie Fermin.
I'm sure. You know what?
He's got 2 options.
That's another one. He's under contract for a long time, and I mean, he might be in the JP Sears category.
Yeah, he's only got 2 years of service time, so he still has his options.
Right. I think at this point, the way Rodolfo Duran is playing and the way Freddie Fermin is playing, I think they are battling for a spot.
And Duran has 3 options.
I think, I agree with 394 in the YouTube chat. I mean, I would imagine if and when Camposano comes back, maybe Fermin goes on the IL a little bit. I mean, he brings up a good point. 394 Ron on the YouTube. Fermin's been taking a beating back there, and I love Freddie Fermin. I like watching him play. You got to get him back to the way he was hitting in Kansas City as a backup and get him more comfortable, I think, at this point in time. But unsung hero, Rodolfo Duran. Miguel Andújar. We'll talk a little bit about Miguel Andújar. Miguel Andújar has been also awesome. I mean, these are like the role players that you see on teams that end up winning in the postseason. And obviously, a lot of the teams that win World Series are able to have organizational depth and have players like this on the margins. I mean, Miguel Andújar was a risk coming in. You spend $4 million, take a chance on him to be able to play at the level that he has played at in the past. And so far, the Padres have hit on this risk. I mean, every free agent signing you have is a risk to some extent. And he continues to provide meaningful production. Home run of the first inning yesterday was the one run the Padres needed. He has 11 multi-hit games and 34 starts, heating up over the past weekend against the Mariners before, again, getting 2 more knocks last night, driving in the only run. Andújar has consistently performed well head-to-head against Ohtani, by the way, dating back to the 2018 Rookie of the Year discussions. How about that? Something to look for on Wednesday. But that balance of confidence and realism reflects where Andújar's career currently sits. And I think Miguel Andújar has played himself into a role where you have to play this guy every night. You have to play this guy every night, Frank.
Yeah, he's been absolutely incredible. And like I said, when you signed him, I love him. He's a fantastic player. He's a gap-to-gap hitter. He set I believe it was the American League rookie record for doubles in a season in his rookie year. He is a fantastic player. He is a dog. Now, he's not going to be your team superstar. This is a perfect role for him as kind of a DH. But he has played his way into being the everyday DH instead of a lefty-righty platoon. He has been absolutely fantastic for this team. And I had a feeling he was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be this good.
And again, it's early in the season, and who knows, he might come back down to earth a little bit. But you know what? He's in a 1-year deal. I mean, he's still fighting to be an established player in Major League Baseball. And I think you got a lot of those guys that right now that are role guys that are hungry. They're hungry for a bigger contract. They're hungry to be a mainstay on teams. I mean, I think that goes a long way in professional sports. I think you're seeing that with guys like Miguel Andújar. I think you're seeing that with guys like Rodolfo Duran. I think you're seeing that with guys like Gavin Sheets. I mean, when they assigned Miguel Andújar, he was viewed as a platoon bat, a depth piece, an occasional DH option. Oh, and he's got it. We're bringing him in to hit lefties because we don't hit lefties very well. And instead, and that was asked during spring training and during the regular season about like him hitting lefties. It's like, oh yeah, well he hits. Craig Stammer's like he hits righties pretty good too. But he's becoming an everyday contributor for this team. He moved into the number 2 spot last night. Maybe that's a good spot for him. And again, if he has success there, then I think you can finally go to what I think some people in the YouTube chat want to see of maybe him batting leadoff. But he is arguably has stabilized this offense during some stretches where stars have struggled. I mean, against Yamamoto, he homered in the first inning, then added another hit later in the game. Current production, a 298 batting average, an 823 OPS, team leading consistency offensively. I mean, Miguel Andújar has been everything you've wanted out of a guy that you spent $4 million on in free agency plus. And you know what? He's hitting a lot better than Gavin Sheets, but it's a lot like the Gavin Sheets situation from a year ago. You picked him up off waivers. He got DFA'd from the White Sox, right? I mean, it's a see if you can get anything out of him. He goes through spring training. Like Gavin Sheets is a little bit different because you knew that Miguel Andújar got $4 million on a free agent contract. So it's not like the guy was hopeless. I mean, the guy he's hit like 280 in his career. It's not like he's not a great baseball player or a good baseball player. You knew what you're going to get. But for $4 million, that's been the signing of the offseason for AJ Preller is Miguel Andújar. And now you got to think of now you got to find a way a place for him to play. Because that guy's got to be in the lineup every day. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll get to your phone calls when we come back. We also want to look at some of the things that happened last night with the process of the offense. We've talked about that yesterday a lot. How did it look last night? About the Padres' philosophy, where they're at. We'll talk about that when we come back. Plus, later on, we'll get to Mason Miller and some things that were noticed in today's daily newsletter by Kevin Acee. We'll get to that on the other end. Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Room Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
And then there were 4. The NBA Conference Finals are set for 2026. In the East, it's the New York Knicks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. New York comes in rested after a sweep led by Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Cleveland just survived 2 Game 7 wars, riding Donovan Mitchell and a physical front court into the conference final hunt. In the West, it's the Thunder versus the Spurs, a showdown between the top-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder and a young San Antonio team led by Victor Wembanyama. OKC swept both the Suns and the Lakers, but the Spurs actually won the season series against Oklahoma City 4-1. This is a star power versus depth series. Rest versus fatigue, and experience versus rising dominance. At this point, it's simple. 4 teams left, and every possession could decide who gets to go to the NBA Finals. The 2026 NBA playoffs have reached the conference finals, and what we're left with are 2 heavyweight matchups that feel like they could go all the way to Game 7 of the finals themselves. In the East, the New York Knicks take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, 2 preseason co-favorites who have lived up to expectations and now meet with a finals berth on the line. In the West, it's the top-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder against the breakout San Antonio Spurs, a matchup between the defending champions and a team that looks years ahead of schedule. This is where playoff margins disappear. No more series to grow into. It's win now or go home. Previewing the Eastern Conference Finals, the New York Knicks arrive well-rested after sweeping the Philadelphia 76ers and finishing their second-round series early. The Cavaliers, on the other hand, just survived a grueling Game 7 road win against the Detroit Pistons. That rest versus rust dynamic could matter immediately in Game 1 at Madison Square Garden. New York's formula is simple but lethal. Elite offensive rhythm from Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, paired with a defense that has consistently shut down opposing scoring cores. They've looked very, very comfortable in every series so far. But Cleveland brings a different challenge, more physicality, more interior pressure, and more late-game experience after surviving 2 7-game battles already this postseason. Donovan Mitchell remains the engine, but the real swing factors are Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. If those two can control the paint against Towns, this series gets a lot more complicated. The big question out east is, can Cleveland's fatigue catch up with them, or does their battle-tested identity give them an advantage, especially early in this series? Out west, the Spurs versus the Thunder, the future versus now. If the East is a star battle, the West might be a preview of the NBA's upcoming era. Oklahoma City enters undefeated in the playoffs so far, having swept both the Suns and the Lakers. They've done it with defense, depth, and MVP-level play from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but San Antonio is not intimidated. The Spurs went 4-1 against Oklahoma City in the regular season and have already proven that they can win head-to-head. Victor Wembanyama is the ultimate equalizer, a player who changes both ends of the floor and forces Oklahoma City to adjust to everything that they do. The key matchup isn't just stars, though. It's role players. OKC's perimeter defense, like Luguentz Dort, Carson Wallace, and Alex Caruso, will be tested heavily, as San Antonio has already shown its willingness to hunt mismatches and live with jump shots from those players. If Oklahoma City's supporting cast hits shots, they're nearly unbeatable. If they don't, the Spurs suddenly have a real path, and this series feels like it could swing on every single possession. So right now, across both series, a few major themes stand out. First, fatigue versus rest. The Knicks are fresh and prepared, while the Cavaliers are coming off a 2 physically exhausting 7-game series. Second, matchup in the paint. Towns versus Cleveland's 2 twin bigs, and Wembanyama versus Oklahoma City's entire defensive structure may decide both series. Third, supporting cast pressure. These are not just star series anymore. Bench scoring, shooting, consistency, and defensive rotations will matter every single night. At this point in the playoffs, there are no surprises left, only execution. The Knicks want their first finals trip in decades. The Cavs want to.
11:23, broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Braden Surprenant Show, Static Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan, weekdays from 10 to 2. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. Want to get out to the phone calls today. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Ron in La Mesa. Ron, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, happy Taco Tuesday, gentlemen. Hey, I want to get a little serious here if I can. My section last night was about 60-40 Dodgers to Padres. And I got to tell you, the weekday Dodger fans are so much nicer than the weekend Dodger fans. It was such a great night. They were all very happy with the game. They weren't happy that they lost, but it was a great game. So not all Dodger fans are dorks. Second thing is, I've been watching as a 30-year umpire this year, the ABS challenge, and a lot of people are getting on the umpires for missing them and stuff. But what I've seen most of all is when they miss it, it's like a fraction of an inch. We're human. We're not androids like the ABS machine. And so I don't think the umpires are all that upset that they're missing those fragments outside. And as far as for me, I think he does need to go down. and spend some time with the ABS in the minors. It would help him out tremendously. But, it's not going to be too long from now where I think that the umpires are going to go strictly ABS with a little thing in their ear. And if it's a strike, it'll beep. If it's not a strike, it won't beep. They'll still call them. And also think how quickly that'll speed the game up too. I think a lot of things are going in a positive direction. The Padres, guys, this is who we are. We win these 1-0, 2-1, 3-1s. Once in a while, we'll break out with a 7-run lead, only to make it interesting. We're just the cardiac kids. That's all there is to it. All right, boys, have a good taco on me today. We'll talk to you.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it, man. The ABS thing is interesting to me because, well, I think the umpires learn from it quickly, and I think they start adjusting theirs. I think they want to get the zone right. I think they're just as curious to see how close they are as well. I can't remember if Mike Winters was talking about the fact that they are getting updates on this now during the game, or if they're trying to. I couldn't remember if he was throwing that as an idea or they're actually doing that. But let's just say it's an idea, Frank. The offense, both dugouts can look at iPads and adjust throughout the game. Why can't the umpires do that?
Exactly.
They should be able to get an iPad, and I don't know if they're doing this or not. I couldn't remember if he said that they are doing this or if they should, but these guys want to get it right. That's why they look up, they go, okay, they're making in-game adjustments. I think the zones this year have been great. I can't really complain about the umpiring this year with some of these ABS challenges. Some of them are just missing that they won't, that
naked eyes not picking that up. There was one, I think in the 6th or 7th inning, that was literally an pixel away from being a strike that I think Freddie Freeman may have challenged. And it was no umpire is going to make that. You can't blame anyone for missing a call like that.
I just think that in the early innings when players are not challenged, they challenge egregious ones early in the game, but a lot of ones that are just missing, they're not challenging. They're not that far off where it's, something to be upset about. And I've noticed now that there are some pitches that come in that last year they would have called a strike. And with ABS, it's a little bit tighter of a zone, and they're not calling it a strike. And the thing is I think that they're getting better throughout the game after ABS challenges. I mean, there's not a lot of drastic changes for the ABS. There's not a lot of drastic multiple miss calls in a row. I think the umpires are doing a great job with this ABS system. I bet you they probably like it. They want to make sure everything's good. I mean, a lot of these guys are trying to do a good job. They're not trying to just hose teams that they don't like out there like a lot of people do think. And sometimes, I think about that too. It's maybe they just don't like us. But I think the ABS system has been good so far. I think it's done a really good job. And I like it. I think it's kind of fun in the stadium too. They only do it a couple of times. But I'm pleased with the ABS system that they have so far. I really am. We got a caller? Oh, no, he's talking to Frank. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. But overall, Frank, I know you're talking to a potential caller there, but I think the ABS system has been phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been great. And I think the one thing that a lot of the naysayers felt about it was going to take too much time. It's at most taken 5-6 seconds, which that's something you can absolutely live with. So I think the main gripes of the ABS system have really not come true. So it's been very, very nice. It's been very, very a good change of pace. There are some ticky-tacky calls that's really a fragment of the ball, an atom of the ball is in the strike zone, so it's a strike. There's that kind of stuff, but for the most part, it's been a very positive change for sure.
Have you? Did you see the Royals game yesterday?
No,
I think it was yesterday. Maybe it was a couple days ago. Laz Diaz was behind the plate.
Oh boy!
And Salvador Perez challenges 2 calls in a row. They're barely off, right? Yeah. And he flips him to strikes as a catcher. The third pitch comes in. And so he goes, the batter goes down 0-2 on 2 ABS challenges in a row. The third one comes in, and it's a ball. It's like it misses high. And Laz goes right next to Salvador Perez like that. Like he's got his hands on his fists on his hips, and he's leaning over. And he's
gonna
like,
challenge that one, big
he
dog?
literally says, like, "You gonna challenge that one?" And like nods his head back and forth. And Salvador Perez is laughing. He was like, "Nah, too high." You know what? I think
great.
It's fun. Like that's
fun
because again, like Ron and LeMason mentioned, those guys are not getting shown up if it's like fractions off.
Yeah.
It's like, how am I supposed to see that? They're close. They're not getting embarrassed. If they're up there and they're missing blatant stuff and getting chirped, it's one thing. But
there was
the other thing, fans aren't chirping the umpires when they're just missing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's like 2 or 3 in a row and it's like bang right there in the middle or like nowhere close, that's where you get a little chirp. But overall, you're missing by that much. I don't even think that like the coaching staffs and the teams can bitch about that.
There was one, I think, in Kansas City, in Cincinnati last week. It was either Cincinnati or Cleveland, one of the red teams. And it was one of those pitches where it was a breaking ball, catcher sets up on the inside part of the plate, pitcher misses it wide. Umpire calls it a ball because the catcher had to go all the way out to the other side. And the umpire called it a ball. ABS call, it's right down the middle. So there are those times where, again, that also goes to show that it was also a lot of these ball strike calls are on catcher movement. Because if you set up off the plate inside and he hits that target perfectly, most of the time you're going to get the call. But if you have to reach back out far the other way, the umpire's just going to naturally think, oh, wow, he had to move a lot, so that's most likely off the plate. We haven't really seen too many of those calls, and those are the ones that get shared around. It's like, oh, my God, look at the umpire, how badly he missed this call. But that's a pitch that, without the ABS system, would have been called a ball because of how much movement the catcher had to do, which is why I was always taught in high school that you try to make as little movement as possible so you don't lose a strike because of that. You don't bring, if you set up too high on a curveball or a changeup, you don't bring your glove all the way down. That's why catchers now are being taught to bring it up. So it looks like it's clipping the bottom of the zone still. But other than that, I mean, it really has not been bad, the umpiring this year. There have been moments, for sure, but not overall bad.
I'm usually at this point in the season irritated with umpires. I'm not. I don't think I have had one instance where I'm like, this guy's terrible. There's been a couple like on the, and I'm talking about home, like behind home plate. There's been a couple of like in the field, but now with challenges, I mean, it's built into a limit. What has been built in has eliminated the egregious calls that are so bad.
Like there was one game where CB Buckner was egregiously bad, like getting 10, 15 challenges called, but even he hasn't had too much of a spotlight shown on him this year.
No, he had the one in Cincinnati.
He had that one really bad game.
That was it. But I think these guys are getting better with like learning what the ABS zone is and where everything is around. So so far, I've liked the system. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Kevin, Jeff, we're going to get to you when we come back. When we come back, we will also talk about Fernando Tatis, a little bit of the offense, and some Mason Miller. Interesting notes from his recent outings. All coming up next on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. If you missed anything that we have said already, if you're driving around, we're talking about the promotional giveaways for the Padres here in 2026. If you want to check out the website, or you could get this, is padres.com/giveaways, and it'll have the whole list. And again, if you want to buy tickets to these games, you could start going. The single game tickets are on sale on Tuesday, February 3rd at 10 in the morning. That's the first chance that you have. Obviously, season ticket memberships have priority to do that. As we move along, we got the patriotic Aloha shirt for the day after Memorial Day. I think May 26th. So it's a Tuesday. Maybe it's coming before, but celebrate America's upcoming 250th birthday with the Padres theme patriotic Aloha shirt. Pretty nice. Got the Blue Angels on there. It's got the Padres logo. It's got the Padres military logo on a baseball. Nice little Hawaiian shirt, patriotic against the Phillies on May 26th. Coming up on Tuesday, June 9th against the Reds. Bogey goes boom bobblehead. You got a Xander Bogaerts finishing his home run swing with his signature gray and maroon bat. So that's pretty cool bobblehead as well. It's presented by Palomar Specialty Insurance on June 9th. So Bogaerts has a bobblehead on Tuesday, June 9th. Coming up on Monday, June 22nd against the Atlanta Braves. Got the Western snapback hat. Kind of looks like a rodeo hat. It's pretty cool looking. It's got San Diego Padres in the Western font, if you will, or San Diego Padres written in Western font with the SD logo in the middle. Pretty cool looking hat right there. That's presented by Petco. First 40,000 fans in attendance will have that one. Again, all of these are for the first 40,000 fans for these, unless I say otherwise. Wednesday, July 8th, Trevor Hoffman bobblehead. He's repping the navy blue 1998 gear. Honor the Hall of Famer and Padres legendary closer with the Trevor Hoffman bobblehead. Presented by Canels. This bobblehead limited the first 40,000 fans, so it's in stride. Trevor Hoffman, kind of a classic look at bobblehead against the Diamondbacks in July. On July 12th, just for the kids, they have the Squeeze Top water bottle, which is a kids giveaway. I don't know if they have that here today because it's a kids giveaway. Again, some of these are for the first 40,000 fans. Some of them are for the first 10,000 fans. It's a kind of little water bottle for kids 14 and under. It looks like an ice cream sundae, which is pretty cool. Tuesday, July 28th. I know a lot of you guys love this one. It's presented by Soapy Joe's, the poncho. Got the San Diego Padres poncho. Looks pretty nice. I like it. I'm sure you'll see a lot of you guys repping that out there at Padre games. That's on July 28th. Bucket hats. Everybody loves the bucket hat. You got a reversible bucket hat, which you have multiple looks for. You have the Padres white home uniform version. You also have the sand away version as well with the swinging fryer on it. Multiple looks. Home and away bucket hat will be Thursday, July 30th against the Giants. A 6:40 start, first 40,000 fans. Coming up on August 10th, a superhero pocket tee presented by San Diego Community Power, which is pretty cool. Usually right after the Comic-Con road trip that the Padres have to go on. So a little bit of a superhero t-shirt. Pretty good front and back. It's got that front pocket. Small logo in the front, big logo in the back. It's a good style for a t-shirt, let me tell you. Coming up on Sunday, August 23rd, it's another kids giveaway. You can check that on the website. Monday, August 24th, the next day against the Pirates, you got the Jackson Merrill robbery bobblehead. So it's Jackson Merrill robbing a home run with the blue fence right there in his home uniform. It's a pretty cool looking bobblehead. And then this is the best one. You thought you were going to give away. You thought you were going to get a secret. You thought you were going to get a secret. You thought you were going to find out about the City Connect uniforms. Well, we have the bobblehead for the City Connect uniforms. It just hasn't been painted yet. They're not going to display that until the new City Connect uniforms are out. But they have the Fernando Tatis City Connect bobblehead presented by Big Bully Turf. That will be on Tuesday, September 8th against the Washington Nationals. Dressed in the Padres City Connect 2.0, the Tatis City Connect bobblehead presented by Big Bully Turf channels Nando's flair at the plate, limited to the first 40,000 fans in attendance. Dynamic details of this bobblehead will make it a centerpiece for your collectibles. Again, we don't know what the City Connect uniforms are yet, but that is what that will look like. 11:40 on the Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. All our guests join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. Padres and Dodgers coming up at 6:40. Padres trying to win the series tonight, sending Griffin Canning out there. Padres hopefully can get a bounce-back outing out of Griffin Canning, but I can't imagine Griffin Canning having a worse performance than what he had in Milwaukee. It's going to be hard to replicate. Not his best. Hopefully he flushed it. A lot of pitches in the first inning, a lot of walks. Can't be doing that against teams that take advantage of mistakes. So we'll talk more about that later on in the show, but I'm hoping Griffin Canning has a little bit better of an outing today.
I think he'll be all right. I think whatever was ailing him in Milwaukee, I think he'll be fine. And like he said it last year, he's a guy who gets up for big games, and this is a big game. No matter how much we've talked about it, and it's not the Padres World Series, it is a properly big game tonight.
Yeah, it's big. They're always big. Still counts as one win in the standings, though, if you win. You don't get two. You got 1.5. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Jeff in Poway. Jeff, what's going on, brother?
Hi there. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
First-time caller here.
I appreciate that. Thanks for dialing us up.
Yes, I just had to say I couldn't believe Duran, how well he did behind the plate. As you guys were talking about earlier, as far as the turning over some of those calls, I thought it was huge when Miller was struggling. Walk 2, that second pitch he threw on the third pitcher was also called a ball. When he turned that over and it became a strike, he seemed to calm down. And I think that was key to him coming out of that inning with a win.
I think so too. I really do, Jeff. Rodolfo Duran hit an MVP last night. I think it's hard to argue against that, Frank. He was great.
No, he was
big
fantastic.
Moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was great in big moments. That's, for a guy that doesn't have a lot of MLB experience, for a guy that doesn't have, that has been mostly in the minor leagues, he's been phenomenal. He's been more than you would ever wish for. And he's been great. I appreciate the phone call, Jeff. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin, what's going on?
Yeah, great call by Jeff. He was spot on. I was thinking the same thing when it happened. And great that he brought that up because that was, I think, a key moment for our reliever and who was clearly a little bit unnerved at that point. It's going to happen. Getting back to the rivalry itself, a lot of talk about the meaning of the rivalry. And, since 1969, whether people want to admit it or not, the Dodgers are the measuring stick. I do agree that there's a perspective at this time of year that needs to be kept in play. And what I'm looking for, and I think what most, knowledgeable fans are looking for, you want to see your team compete, play well, and regardless of the end of the score, you want to see your guys perform well and show that they belong on the field with these guys. Given the adulation that the Dodgers get, all the notoriety that the Dodgers get, it's still very important, I think, for the Padres to show up and show that they can play. They did last night. It was an excellent ball game. Two great pitchers, great ball game all the way around. Hopefully we can replicate it tonight, but that's what's important, at least to me. I don't know what you guys think.
It is. I think that's a good way to view this, and I appreciate the phone call, Kevin. It's a measuring stick to see where you're at in comparison to a team that has been there and done that before. But at the same time, you don't want to overhype your opponent and make them, godly, if you will. I think the Padres are doing a pretty good job with that right now. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll get one more phone call, and then we got to get to today's sports thread. Let's get out to Alan in La Mesa. Alan, what's going on?
Hey, just heading out for a couple of trips. A couple of things. One, Duran's got a cannon for an arm. He's doing a great job. And, let's see. Gosh, what I wanted to say is that I've been going to Padre games since Westgate Park. And let's hope that Canning can do a good job tonight.
Absolutely, Alan. We appreciate it. Next time you call and turn down your radio, brother. Heard in the background. Do you have the Rashee Rice story in the sports thread?
I do not. I was actually looking to see what it was.
I got it for you. Let's get to the sports thread. I'll read it to you.
Okay.
How about that?
That's a good change.
You know that group chat, the one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Braden, what do we have on the sports thread today?
Rashee Rice, dude.
Number 1.
Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice tested positive for THC.
Oh, boy.
According to Dallas County court documents, a violation of his probation for charges related to that multi-car crash in Dallas more than 2 years ago. The documents say he'll be ordered to serve 30 days in jail and he'll be released on June 16th. NBC5 in the DFW area reached out to Rice's attorneys listed in court documents as well as the Chiefs, but have not received a response. Rice was booked at Dallas County Jail around noon, according to the Dallas Police Department. 25-year-old Rice missed the first 6 games of last season after the NFL found that he had violated its personal conduct policy when he caused a multi-car crash on a Dallas highway in March of 2024 while driving erratically at speeds nearing 120 miles an hour. Rice left the scene of the accident before police arrived, then took responsibility for the wreck in a statement a couple of weeks later.
Couple of weeks.
Rice turned himself in when an arrest warrant was issued, and he subsequently pleaded guilty to 2 third-degree felony charges last July for the collision. Rice was sentenced to 30 days in jail and 5 years probation. He was also required to pay the victim's medical expenses. Rice had 53 catches, 571 yards, and 5 touchdowns last season for Kansas City.
I wonder what NFL policy he's run afoul of here that's going to make him miss even more time.
Yeah, so he violated. So he had to go to jail for 30 days. He's going to have to do it again because he violated his probation because he tested positive for THC. Come on, bro. It's just like these guys continue to just do dumb things, just like just like setting money on fire.
Oh, I'm just stupid.
That's really all it comes down to.
That's it.
He's just an
dumb.
idiot.
You're just dumb.
He's just an idiot. That's really...
All right.
My God.
Number 2.
Hey, you know what? Fridge Watcher put it on my radar. It's like dumbest player in the NFL. I thought he like did the same thing over again. But this is even dumber.
I was looking for it while the calls were going. The Power Act 12 and the Mountain West appear to be ending their lengthy legal battle over schools leaving for the rebuild of the Power Act 12. The dispute centered around millions of dollars in, quote, poaching penalties and exit fees tied to programs like Boise State and San Diego State and others making the move. With both sides now pausing the lawsuit to finalize a settlement, the focus can finally shift back to what the new look Power Act 12 and Mountain West will look like this fall. Which conference do you think is better positioned for long-term success, the rebuilt Power Act 12 or the reshaped Mountain West?
Can I say neither?
Yes.
The whole point of like making the new Power Conference, the Power Act 12, which you'll be getting a foul for in the fall every time you mention it like that.
I'm going
That's a free foul.
So that's fine.
The free foul is they were supposed to like generate a lot more money than the Mountain West. How much more money are they actually going to get? Does anybody have the TV contract details? Have we ever figured those out yet? They haven't released that money yet. What they're going to get? I mean, I've heard it's like around $10 million a school.
Cool.
Yeah, no thanks. By the way, like, did you see they were putting out what every school got in terms of like funding from their conferences and other like what they made. And
I did not see that. No.
Stanford and Cal made like over $150 million being in the ACC. Now, a lot of that is, Cal specifically is more government funding than anything else because that's included. But they're making like top 30 in terms of revenue as a school. Why would they give that up to make $10 million maybe, or like I think it's up to $70 million where San Diego State and Washington State are? Why would they make their revenue? Why would they cut the revenue in half? Is basically what I'm trying to say.
$10 million fine for every single time you complain about the travel for in-conference games. How about that?
Then they get to. Then they'd have to go back to the Power Act 12.
There you go.
I don't think they're going to get the TV money they're expecting.
No.
If I had to pick between the two, the Pac-12's got better teams than the Mountain West does.
Yeah, the Mountain West's a glorified Conference USA at this point, really.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Nashville is expecting to land its first ever Super Bowl, with NFL owners reportedly preparing to award Super Bowl, whatever that is. I think 64, 60, whatever.
Excuse me? Are you okay?
No. In 2030 to the city during meetings this week. Apparently, Adam Schefter reported that they voted unanimously 32-0. So the Super Bowl will be in Nashville. The game would be played in the new stadium for the Tennessee Titans, which is scheduled to open in 2027, marking another major moment in Nashville's rise as one of America's premier sports cities and entertainment destinations. This announced on the same day that Minneapolis won the bid for next year's NFL draft. Which cities make the best host for Super Bowls? Traditional football cities or entertainment destinations like Vegas and Nashville?
I would say entertainment destinations. Where do you think they go? I mean, like, there is no reason to have any major event at the Superdome in New Orleans. Absolutely. That is a terrible stadium. But I've always find it funny. That's a terrible stadium that needs to be upgraded. They don't upgrade. And the Super Bowl still goes there. But, like, God forbid they went to Qualcomm. Right? Oh, you need a new stadium if you're going to host the Super Bowl. It's like, it's interesting that they put ultimatums on certain things and not on others. It's all about the city. That's why they have it in desirable locations.
Here's my question. Why did everyone complain about holding the Super Bowl in New York, New Jersey in February? It was cold. It snowed. It rained. What does it do in Tennessee in February?
They have a dome. They're building a roof.
Oh, they're building a roof. Oh, well, there you go. I thought it was another one of those like what Buffalo's doing, where it's like they have a roof.
No, it's cookie cutter. It looks just like the Raiders Stadium.
Oh, good.
And SoFi, and it's all in the new one that they want to build for the Chiefs, and the new it's all cookie cutter. We're all going to look the same with the transparent roof and open air facility. They all look dumb. They all look the same.
I hate people so much.
The new Bears Stadium, like, they all are the same.
I hate people so much.
Number 4.
No creativity.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has officially entered elite NBA territory, reportedly winning his second straight MVP award after leading the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder to another dominant regular season. At just 27, SGA now joins a legendary list of players like LeBron, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic to win back-to-back MVPs. With Oklahoma City heading to the Western Conference Final, the conversation now shifts from a regular season greatness to whether or not Gilgeous-Alexander can continue building a championship legacy. If Oklahoma City wins another title this year, does he officially become the face of the next generation for the NBA?
He might. Continues to win. I know people are already upset with, like, I'm tired of Oklahoma City. I think, Chris? Wasn't Chris doing that?
That's cool.
Yelling. Why would you ever be against, like, a small market team winning championships? Wouldn't that be like rooting against yourself here in San Diego? Just a thought.
Because Lakers and Celtics.
Yeah, exactly. When we come back, we're going to talk about Mason Miller a little bit, take a deeper dive into his outing yesterday and what we've seen over the last couple of games as we start our noon hour.
JP Moore foul.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime years.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on the Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3. The Fan. We're going to talk about Mason Miller here in a second, but Frank brought something up that I love all the time. That's the typical. All right, we're gonna add an MLB team in Nashville and add an MLB team in Salt Lake, or add an MLB team in whatever. When they expand the two teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they go to all these geographical divisions now, no longer American League and National League, and so people put together these 4-team divisions. We've talked about this before. I think it'd be awesome. You could create some very toxic divisions. None more toxic than whatever East type division that would be, Frank, that you had.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so still has it in the American National League format.
Mm-hmm.
The National League, he has Atlanta, Tampa, one of the new teams, and Miami. That's not bad.
No, moving on.
Baltimore, Washington, Pittsburgh, and Chicago. Okay. That's a thing. Angels, Dodgers, Giants, Padres. That'll be a nice little division.
The California division, I'm down for.
That's toxic. And what he labels the Manifest Destiny division of Arizona, Colorado, Seattle and Los Clemente. Yes,
I don't mind that. I found it. I pulled it up. I didn't know that they put the names on for the divisions. The California division is not the California division.
It's can't afford to live here division.
Can't afford to live here division.
I love the Manifest Destiny division. That's fantastic.
Hilarious.
That's a great name. To the American League now, the Chili and Casserole division, the White Sox, Reds, Guardians, and Twins.
Chili and Casserole division.
The Kind Folk division, Detroit, Toronto, St. Louis, Milwaukee. The Music division, Kansas City, expansion team.
That's got to be Nashville.
Most likely Nashville. Texas and Houston.
A lot of stars in that one.
The most toxic division known to man in any of the 4 major sports. Boston, Yankees, Mets, Phillies.
So when you do it like this, again, like in terms of scheduling everything.
You are trying to start a war is what you're doing.
When you're trying to schedule all the games, I mean, obviously with 2 new teams, it changes some things a little bit in terms of opponents for the scheduling. But give or take, you're adding 4, since there's no longer 5-team divisions, there's 4-team divisions. You got to add a couple of games here. You're going to add about 4 games to your division opponents because you're playing 3 now instead of 4, which means you're going to have about 17 games against your division if that was the case.
Not necessarily, because if everyone's playing everyone, one of the teams is in your division or conference or region or whatever. So you're going to need to add 6 against them and then 3 against the other one.
Yeah, I just said
so.
That. I said like a little bit, give or take. With you're going to have to add. You have to add new teams that are going to be on the outside.
For the new teams, yeah.
So, but you're going to add about like 3 or 4 per, with the division being now only 3 teams in there. So you're looking at anywhere between 13 and 17 matchups between the Yankees and the Mets. How'd that go over the weekend? Positive
very
for the
well.
Mets.
It went very well, as
very
a matter
stressful.
of fact.
Yeah, we haven't heard a phone call from Derek today.
Yeah,
yesterday.
I wonder why.
He had no home runs at Aaron Judge, and the Yankees lost 2 out of 3 of the Mets. Oh no, the Mets. We haven't talked about this. I know the morning show is all like hot about. I probably should be doing that on a national broadcast, Joe Davis. I still thought it was kind of funny. Oh no, the Mets.
That's not a national broadcaster. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's fine. I still think it's funny.
Do that.
Mets fans are on their feels, though. Just relax. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, of course, because we know we're a joke. We don't need national broadcasters who watch one of our games a year telling us that we're a joke. We know.
You're acting like the older sibling that picks on the younger sibling and then somebody else does it. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Exactly.
But we can.
Exactly. 100%.
I still think people made too much of a deal out of it.
I agree.
I think it's just because people don't like Joe Davis. I think that's where you're at. But I do agree with some of the takes on that I've seen come out of SNY and KW and WFAN. And, if you're going to be a national guy, Joe Davis, if you're going to be a national play-by-play guy, I get you're the Dodgers broadcaster and I get you're on the Dodgers payroll. Probably you should probably not be the MC for the Dodgers parade. You should probably not try to force your way on, and force the Dodger narrative on the national broadcast. And that's coming from somebody I used to like Joe Davis when he was calling college football games. Every year he's with the Dodgers, he becomes more and more insufferable in the national broadcast because it's just all about the Dodgers all the time. It's like, dude, relax. We get that you work for them, but when Don Arcillo does national games, he goes into national Don Arcillo mode.
Yes,
he's not
which is
chummy
what you should do.
Padres Don Arcillo. He is national Don Arcillo mode. You don't see that with Joe Davis. People don't like Joe Buck, but I tell you what, when Joe Buck was doing games, it wasn't diehard Cardinals guy. He was just Joe Buck, national Joe Buck. With Joe Davis, it's different. You get this the smugness of the Dodgers the whole time.
They had, I forget who it was for the Mets, hit a double in that game, a 2-run double. I think it was Vientos. Vientos swings into the gap and left. 2 runs will score. Mets lead. It's what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? If that went the other way, I'd be like, do you have a pulse? Did you take a sail down Lake Havasoma before this? What are you doing?
I just feel like it's just been it's too much. And Steven Nelson, same thing. It's too much on the Dodger homerism calls when they do the national games. But there needs to be a difference when you do the national games and the local games. If Joe Davis did the "Oh no Mets" thing on the Dodgers broadcast, it's okay.
No one would see it. No one would care.
I mean, the Dodgers fans.
No, I mean,
they'd post the highlight and stuff, and people would think it would be funny. But Mets fans wouldn't be super upset about it. It's oh well, that's their broadcast.
No, it's first of all, you're forcing me to listen to this guy because God forbid the local broadcasts work on the same day as national broadcasts. But it's so if you're going to force me to listen to somebody, please have them not be completely insufferable the way most national broadcasters are. It's come on. I liked what
Boog Shambi, when he does national broadcasts, you don't think he's a Cubs homer at all.
My uncle's a diehard Cubs fan, has been since he was a kid. He swears that Boog Shambi hates the Cubs. He swears up and down that Boog Shambi hates the Cubs.
You know what? That's good for national TV.
It is. You don't have to worry about it being a home.
I miss Joe Buck doing the playoff games for Fox. And I know he's at ESPN. He's doing some baseball now for ESPN, which is great. I think ESPN's probably going why are we paying this guy $100 million? We're paying this guy $100 million to do one game a week in the football season. We should start having him work a little bit more. Him doing baseball was his playoffs to me as a kid growing up.
Him and Tim McCarver.
I get it. I know baseball fans didn't like Joe Buck because he had that one statement one time. He wanted to be a talk show host on a late night TV show. It's all right, dude, you're not really built for that. You're a great broadcaster, the son of a great broadcaster, like just like to do what you're good at.
Yeah.
But he said like he didn't like baseball one time, and so like baseball
That's
fans like,
cool.
oh, he sucks. He's like, he calls it, regardless if he likes baseball or not, he calls a heck of a game. Like it's when you hear Joe Buck doing a game, it was him and Tim McCarver, you're like, oh, this is a big deal. It's a big game.
And I like what every national broadcast should do. And NBC has done a very good job of it. You get your main guy, you get your voice, you get one guy from one team, retired player preferably, and then one guy from the other team. So this way you have both teams represented.
You're talking about for analysts?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have
fun.
both teams represented, and you have your play-by-play guy who's going to call it down the middle. That is the way it should be done, period, with every single national broadcast.
Yeah. I don't mind that. I think it's cool. Then you get to see that. Then they're like calmly interacting with each other. They're not getting super excited. And a lot of these guys are employees of the teams, right? So like it's hard to get out of that mode. But when you're doing the national game, you're doing a national game. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I think this is funny. Did you see? So the conference tournaments are going on this week for college baseball.
Yes, just starting.
Cal and Stanford are playing an elimination game right now.
Uh-oh.
In Charlotte, North Carolina.
Where's the band?
Cal and Stanford playing a single elimination baseball game in Charlotte, North Carolina will never not be funny. That is the funniest. It is a 40-hour drive from the Bay Area to Charlotte. They flew out there to play one. One of them is going out there to play one game and flying back to the Bay.
No one.
What a waste.
No one can complain about being too tired because of travel because they're both worn out. Y'all are both stupid.
They should have been like, hey, can we just play this game out here and then we'll send the winner out there for a game? A waste of time. A waste of time, money, and effort.
Can we just meet in the middle somewhere? Can we just play in
Omaha.
the middle of Lincoln, Nebraska?
Let's play in Omaha where they have the College World Series. Let's just play there. We'll never have a chance to play here in the ACC.
No, we can't do it. Can you, ACC, can you let a boy dream, please? Just once. Let
Cal and
let
Stanford
a boy dream.
playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference will never not be funny. We're going to talk about Mason Miller when we come back. Mason Miller got the save last night, ninth inning. Not as dominant as he's been, but still really good stuff. We'll talk more about that when we come back.
San Diego FC just gave us the perfect summary of their season in 1 week. First, they absolutely destroyed Austin FC 5-0. The attack was flowing. Young players were shining. And for the first time in months, they looked like themselves again. Then came FC Cincinnati. Another entertaining game, another late lead, another collapse. San Diego scored what looked like the game winner in the 96th minute and then gave up the equalizer just seconds later. Literally seconds later. At this point, we know exactly who this team is. Exciting, talented, aggressive, and still learning how to close games. The upside is real. The potential is obvious, but late game defending continues to haunt them every single week. The big question, how long can you keep saying they're young before the results actually have to change? San Diego FC just had 2 matches this week, and we will go over both of them here in this update. The first match was on Wednesday this past week, finally getting over that hump and getting the win. The Austin match on Wednesday was the team that we remembered. For one night, San Diego looked like the club that made the run to the Western Conference Final last season. Everything clicked. It was crisp passing, fast movement, clinical finishing, all the confidence in the world. They scored twice in the opening 17 minutes, eventually cruising to a 5-0 win. And that was a team that looked like they could have put up 10 against Austin FC. Young players stepped up everywhere. David Vasquez scored his first MLS goal and then got another one later on in the match. Pedro Soma scored an absolute rocket that was was named man of the match. Marcus Ingvartsen stayed red hot, and of course, Anders Dreyer scoring in the 17th minute. This was the first time in months San Diego truly looked free again. Coach Mikey Varas calling it something that has been, quote, building little by little. And I was at that match. You could tell very, very easily. Remember, we had talked about on the show leading into that match on Wednesday that Austin FC was worn out from the travel, and they certainly looked like a team that was playing with schedule issues very much in mind. They did look very, very tired. That was not a good team. And that's a game that San Diego FC has to win. They had only won one match away from home. Austin FC had all season long, taking advantage of a tired team. That is exactly what San Diego FC needed to do against the team that they needed to do it against, and they certainly pulled it off. So all of those good feelings, all of that positive momentum, all of the results and the work that we've seen over the last couple of updates looked very, very good. And then Saturday came. Just absolute heartbreak. When it felt like momentum was finally back, the same issues returned. San Diego played entertaining soccer again against FC Cincinnati on Saturday night, scored 3 goals, controlled possession. They even scored what looked like the late winner in the 90th minute +6. It looked like everything was going right. And then disaster. Seconds after Marcus Ingvartsen scored, making it 3-2. Cincinnati launched one desperate ball forward, and San Diego just completely lost defensive shape. We talked about it on the show on Monday as we record this. Manu Dua shading a guy that was already covered, leaving Tom Barlow wide open on the far post, and just a tap-in goal for Barlow. Another late goal, another defensive lapse from these young defenders, and another result just thrown away by the wayside. So the defining theme of this season thus far has been that they can play with anybody offensively, which is why I don't lend too much credence to, oh, it's Chucky Lozano, free Chucky, all this stuff, because he's not really, nothing that he is going to bring is the real issue. Nothing that he is going to bring is going to fix the problems that San Diego FC have. All of the problems that San Diego FC has are from the defensive side, the young defense that this team has, making mistakes. You also have the young keeper in Duran Ferri also making a number of mistakes when he looked really, really good at the start of this season. So that's why I don't put too much credence into the free Chucky, bring Chucky Lozano back into the fold statements, because again, the areas that he is going to fix are not necessarily San Diego FC's problem. Defensive.
We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summerwood Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. All right. Let's get to what we've been kind of teasing for the last couple of segments, if you will. Let's talk a little bit about Mason Miller. All right. Mason Miller last night, ninth inning, walked the first 2 hitters of the inning and looked completely real out of his rhythm early in his outing. Pitching coach Ruben Niebla adjusted Miller's mechanics mid-inning, and Duran's ABS challenge flipped the count against Will Smith that stabilized the inning for Mason Miller. He then induced a flyout. He struck out Max Muncy. He got Andy Paz to ground out. And the important context for this, in terms of his overall takeaway, Miller's early season numbers were historically absurd. I think we can all agree upon that. But since April 23rd, he has looked more human, but he has still converted all 7 save chances. And he remains arguably the most overpowering closer in Major League Baseball. The San Diego Padres believe the difference now is command consistency, not diminished stuff. But the big takeaway here is truly elite closers aren't just dominant when perfect, they survive when they're imperfect. And Miller's ability to reset mid-inning may actually prove more valuable in October than early season unhittable stretch. But let's go to that unhittable stretch. I think it bodes an interesting question about Mason Miller and what the pitcher he is. I think he's legit. I mean, obviously, he's almost unhittable, and during stretches, he has been unhittable. But the question becomes, based on his track record of what he has put together on the back of his baseball card, and what he did during that stretch where he was striking out like 70-something% of the hitters that he faced, as he has been since the end of April to now, was that stretch kind of an anomaly, or are you expecting to see Mason Miller pitch at that level every time he goes out there to play? I think as we go through this month of May, and we have seen him pitch since April 23rd or whatever it was, he is back to, this is Mason Miller. He's got an elite fastball. His slider's lethal. He can usually, hit his spots. He might give up a hit here or two or a walk, but for the most part, he's not going to have a lot of damage, and he's going to be an elite level closer. And I think both things could be true. Right now, he is off to the best start he has ever had in a season. He's 1-0. In fact, he's already matched his WAR with the B WAR he had last year just in a Padres uniform, a 1.4. He's 1-0 with a 1.4 WAR, 0.82 ERA, 21 appearances for Mason Miller, 15 saves over 22 innings with 45 strikeouts. I mean, truly remarkable. Now, a lot of that is from that stretch that he had dating back to even last year. But if you look at his overall numbers before he became a Padre, as an A, and some of it was with 6 starts in his first year in 2023, but as an Athletic, 3-7 with a 3.16 career ERA, 136 and 2/3 innings pitched, 201 strikeouts. I mean, still really good numbers. But I think the stretch that he just came off of with the scoreless inning streak, with the amount of strikeouts that he had, with just being completely unhittable, I think that's kind of like an elite anomaly that Mason Miller was on. That was a heck of a heater that he was on. I think you're seeing a little bit more of the Mason Miller that you expected to see when you traded for him. Now, is he like at the best he could possibly be? Probably not. I think he would say that himself. But this is more of, to me, the Mason Miller that you're going to see for the majority of the year. And it's still elite. It's just not the unhittable level that he was during that stretch. And I think that even this version of Mason Miller, it might walk a couple of batters. Guys are going to be able to hit him a little bit. He's probably eventually this season going to give up a home run. He's given up at least a couple of home runs every season that he's played. In fact, he gave up 5 home runs last year. Somebody's going to square up a fastball on him eventually. You just hope it's not in an important situation. But I think 2 things can be true with Mason Miller. I think this is the Mason Miller that you're going to expect to see, maybe a little bit less right now than like his average play. And it's still elite. And I also think that stretch that he was on was just an unbelievable stretch that you may not see again. I mean, maybe you do, but I just think the odds are you won't. So I think Mason Miller is still the best closer in Major League Baseball, but I don't think fans, and I don't think they are doing this, but I don't think you should have expectations that Mason Miller should be the guy that is just never giving up any hits or walks and is the dominant Mason Miller that we saw over the stretch of, end of last year into this season. He could still be an elite closer, like not having to put up those numbers, but I just think he was on a heater, Frank, than anything else.
Yeah, and we talked about it before the show started that, guys are going to adjust. It's their job to adjust to pitchers, and that's exactly what these guys have done. He has thrown a lot of pitches recently. He has been asked to work a lot so far this season. So I wonder if there's some sort of fatigue there that's already hitting at the beginning of this season, but he looks more like a normal reliever now than the extraordinary one that we saw at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, it asks the question, I almost feel like this is more valuable for the Padres for him to be able to experience a little bit of...
Yeah, for him to be human for a minute.
Right, and be able to work out of it. I think that's the best part is, he came back down to earth a little bit more over the course of the last handful of innings that he has pitched. And, he's got to grind through traffic, but he's still converting saves. He's got to work through leadoff walks. He's got to work through giving up a hit here or two. He's got to, he comes in now and has some 4-out saves where he inherits some runners in dangerous situations. I think that version of Mason Miller is more valuable because not that he needed to learn how to survive, but he's learning how to survive without necessarily having the best stuff. And I think that is going to be what he is going to be in the postseason than going up there and being untouched. There's something about being the guy when you go through the entire season and you're just unhittable, and then all of a sudden you run into a little bit of problems in the playoffs, that can really spiral for guys. I like the fact that Mason Miller is still getting some of this, really to me, like not an audition, but it's a trial run of this is kind of playoff level baseball. These are the kind of hitters you're going to be facing right now. These are the at-bats you're going to be dealing with right now. I like this version of Mason Miller. I think he's getting tested right now, and I think it's good for the long run for the San Diego Padres and for Mason Miller.
Yeah, he threw like 7 or 8 balls in a row to open up his outing last night, and then after that, Duran went out, talked to him, settled him down, got a pitch that was a ball, called a strike for him. So, and then after that, he was lights out. So whatever was ailing him, I think it's I forget where I heard it, but somebody after the game last night said basically it's like he couldn't find the strike zone, found it once, and then it was like, oh, okay, I got this now. Boom, 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 boom. So it's always good for a pitcher to try to find their way out of some sort of adversity, and that's exactly what Mason Miller was able to do. He put himself in a jam. Trav saying 9 straight balls to start the outing, got 1 strike, and then it was boom, boom, boom. Had it.
Yeah, it was good to see. And to do it against the Dodgers. I mean, I was a little nervous about that just because they've, they're like they've been like the bully that you get a brand new toy and everything's great. And then they go and they break the toy immediately when they come into town. And the fact that Miller was able to work through that is great. I think it probably stressed a lot of Padres fans out last night as well. Somebody asked, any chance he's available tonight or they save it for tomorrow? I
would say no.
He threw 22 pitches yesterday. I think the Padres are really trying to, limit how much Mason Miller is used because he is such an elite arm. You want him out there, but you also want him out there at the end of the season at his best, not using him a ton early in the season, especially when you got guys like Jason Adam and Adrian Morejon. And I don't really want to see Jeremiah Stroud at all against the Dodgers because it's never really worked out well for the Padres, but you have other options back there that you can go to. You have one of the best bullpens in Major League Baseball. I wouldn't say anything about saving Mason Miller, but you got to pick your spots. And so maybe you use him a little bit more against the Dodgers this week than at the end of the week against the Athletics, who are under 500 in first place.
I was a little bit surprised they didn't go with Morejon because
against Ohtani for sure.
It was just 2 days ago that Miller threw 34 pitches. So he had just come off of a lot of work after, and Stammen talked about it during post game. He said he felt they warmed him up for They warmed him up for Ohtani, felt as though Jason Adam was fine, get him out of the inning. And then after that didn't happen, he said, well, he's definitely going to come in for Freddie Freeman now. So I was surprised that you already have Morejon ready. You've already warmed him up. Miller has looked human these last couple of outings. He just had a 4-out, 34-pitch save a couple nights ago in which he got into some serious trouble. I was surprised that they didn't throw Morejon out in the ninth inning. When I heard Mason Miller coming out in the ninth, I was like, whoa, what, why is this? Why is he coming out now?
How many batters did Adam face?
I think he faced 4. I think he faced either 4 or 5.
How many did he face before Ohtani?
I think 3 because he got 1 out, then Kim got on, got the second out, and then Ohtani.
I got to go back.
Ohtani got the single, got Kim to third.
Let me go back to the box score. I just, in terms of I can remember big events. I can't necessarily remember all of the.
He could have pulled Jason Adam for. All
right, so this was my thinking during last night's game. Okay, so they brought Adam in to pitch the 8th. He's due up to face Pages, Hernandez, and Kim, and they were warming up Morejon. I thought for sure the situation was going to be, okay, we're going to go with Adam here. He's going to have to get out 7, 8, 9 in the order. And if it gets to the top, Morejon's coming in to face Ohtani. That's what I thought they were going to do last night. And so Adam gets the first 2 guys out, and then he walks Kim, and then Ohtani came up, and they didn't make the move. I'm curious why they didn't do that yesterday. Did they? I don't think they talked. Did they talk about that in the postgame?
Stammen did talk about it in the postgame. I'd have to go back and look for it, but he said that was the plan, that they had him. They had Morejon ready for Ohtani, but something happened. I don't remember if Stammen said it was a gut feeling or if he felt confident in Adam to get Ohtani out in that spot. And after Ohtani got the single that moved Kim to third, it was like, okay, well, at least that didn't work, but at least we have Morejon ready for Freddie Freeman now. Betts was going to be Jason Adams' last hitter, no matter what.
Right, because then Freeman started off the next inning, and you had Kyle Tucker coming up.
Yeah,
okay, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. And then by the time you get to the ninth, you might as well pay. I mean, with a 1-run lead against the Dodgers, and by the way, Mason Miller had not pitched in a couple of days. I don't think they could justify bringing Morejon in to close the game, even though that was lefties. I think if Morejon came in and he's been a little shaky this year, he's still been solid, but he hasn't been as solid as we've seen. But could you imagine the post-game press conference if the Padres lose 2-1 and Morejon gives it up in the 9th inning and Mason Miller wasn't used? I mean, that would be hell to pay. Nobody would understand. Nobody would listen to the justification of the lefty-lefty matchup.
No, if I were Craig, I would have said, listen, we just had Mason Miller's looked human. He just threw 34 pitches 2 days ago. We tried to sneak a game by to get him some extra rest. Threw Morejon because he was ready to go. He was going to face Freddie Freeman in the 8th if it got that far. So he was already hot, already going. And unfortunately, this time it blew up in our face. That's what I would say.
And nobody would care.
And I'm sure.
They would not. People would be wanting to fire you. You can't have the best closer in baseball and then play the lefty righty matchup and then they would poke holes in all your arguments.
I would not even mention lefty righty. I would say we had him ready to go for Freddie Freeman for the lefty righty in the 8th. He was already hot. Mason Miller just threw 34 pitches 2 days ago. I understand it might not be what you want to hear, but that was the thought process there.
And you would lose.
Okay.
You wouldn't be able to justify the whole point of this exercise to have you explain like that is, can you justify that at the end of the day for your decisions? You wouldn't. You would just get crushed. And
no,
I think that's also part of the deal. You can't have the best closer in baseball that's almost untouchable and then not use them to use Morejon because especially at the amount of days rest that he had. So I am curious why they decided to warm up Morejon. I guess, you mentioned they said, if Adam didn't get Betts out, then he would have come in, which I think is fine. I was surprised, but you know what? I think that shows like Craig Stammen and this team that believe in their guys. Like you could have pulled it. Mike Schilt would have pulled Adam and gone to Morejon to face Ohtani.
Yes.
Craig Stammen has let his guys go deep into games from starting position, like starters, and he has let his bullpen arms work their way out of trouble
and pitch multiple innings too.
Right. And you know what? I think there's something to be said about him being a former pitcher, that these guys are locked in on that, and I think they respect that, and I think they appreciate that. And sometimes I think you got to let your guys go out there and try to win, and try to compete and try to get out of their own mess, because I think it's going to help you in the postseason. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we didn't get to it yesterday. Need a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff. We'll get to that. We will also talk more Padres and Dodgers. Griffin Canning pitching tonight for the Padres. Braden Surprenant Show, sending Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
And this is Live Your Life from Article Sound System, released 5 years ago.
Otherwise known as ass.
Yeah. Article Sound System.
Got it.
Listen to Ben and Woods weekdays from 6 to 10 on 97.3 The Fan.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. For San Diego, that means local service including burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and custom security designed to work with business operations. Bay Alarm has real people rooted in your community looking out for your business. After 8 decades and 3 generations of family ownership, our promise is still the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
Palomar Health.
.1242 on a Tuesday. Padres got the victory last night over the Los Angeles Dodgers. Game 2 of the series coming up later tonight. 6:40 is first pitch. 5:40 Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt will start. Gwen and Chris will be on after us. We didn't get to it yesterday, but we are going to get to it today. Trying to get people qualified for a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas. If you call in, take me down some sports trivia, you would be qualified for a shot at our grand prize, a $500 gift card to Westgate Las Vegas, the home of legendary Vegas fun. Now offering the break away from fees package, including a $75 daily dining credit, 2-day spa passes, daily cabaret tickets, complimentary valet parking, 0 resort fees, special rates starting at $89 a night. Book now at WestgateLasVegas.com. We have a contestant. We are ready to rock and roll as we get ready for the midday sports standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, he's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, we got playing today.
We have Dylan in San Diego playing today. Dylan, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great, especially after that Padres win last night.
There you go. All right, so our trivia today is going to be mostly Padre Dodgers centric. There were 6 different Padres to hit 7 home runs against the Dodgers last season. Who were the 6 players to hit a home run for the Padres last year against the Dodgers? Dylan,
I almost asked
go
a
first.
stupid question. I almost asked a stupid question.
I want to know what it was.
Is that playoffs too? And I'm like, oh wait, they got eliminated by the Cubs.
Dylan, go ahead.
I am going to guess Manny Machado.
It's probably a good
Manny
guess.
did hit one of them, yes.
All right, let's. I feel like Fernando still got one. I'm gonna say Fernando. No home runs.
Fernando did not get one.
Am I up?
Yep.
Yes. Jackson Merrill.
He didn't hit one either?
They're not going to be the usual suspects today, I will say. You got 1, maybe 2 of the usual suspects.
What about Ramon Laureano? All right.
Ramon Laureano had 2. He was the only one that had multiple.
Really?
Dylan.
I'm going to guess Xander Bogaerts.
We have run out of the usual suspects.
Oh, boy. I feel like... Did Elias Diaz hit one? Wow.
Elias Diaz did hit one. We got 2 left.
There's only 2 left?
Ryan O'Hearn.
Good guess, but no.
Oh. I know who hit one. Trenton Brooks hit one. His only homer of the year was like a 3-run bomb against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium.
Trenton Brooks, congratulations. Dylan, you can still tie.
Come on, Dylan.
You said not a usual suspect.
Not the normal home run hitters you would think.
Jake Cronenworth.
No, I'm sorry, Dylan. That was strike 3, unfortunately. Braden, try to clear the board.
Okay. Well, since the contest is already over, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
He got 3 strikes, yes.
All right. Not an everyday starter?
He was for a time.
He was for a time? Did he make it through the entire year last year?
He was on the team for the year. Actually, he might have missed the end of last year, like the very end of it.
So not a trade deadline pickup or
No.
anything like that. Jose Iglesias?
Nope. Not Jose Iglesias.
Jason Hayward hit 2 home runs. One of them was against the Rockies. Martin Maldonado. Wow. I remember his one against the Cubs. Martin Maldonado hit, how many homers did he hit? That's a 4? Hey, the one against the Cubs, the only run that they scored on at Wrigley.
Yes.
I guess he had one against the Dodgers too.
So 6 different Padres hit 7 home runs against the Dodgers last year. Ramon Laureano had 2.
He had the 2, and he was on the team for not even a third of the season.
Trenton Brooks, Martin Maldonado, Xander Bogaerts, Elias Diaz, and Manny Machado were the 6.
Wow. It's a pretty creative question. I should get 2 points for Ramon Laureano since he got 2.
And guess what?
What?
You still would have won.
So?
Either way.
Come on, man. Let's add more points. You know why? Because Frank doesn't like doing math on the air, which, you know what? Fair. I told him. I tell him every day, don't do math on the air. It's terrible. Come on, you get a little whiteboard over there. You'll take a little tally. You usually just write messages on that for Sam when he's walking through the building. Or he presses his face against the glass for no reason. What kind of sarcastic thing is this going to be? I wonder. Frank is writing down on the whiteboard. Am I going to be able to read this?
Carry the 4.
Oh, no. Here we go. He's actually doing math in the air. Never good. You're going to be 1 off. You know that, right? Guy never carries the 1. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Dylan, appreciate you guys calling in today. Better luck next time. That was a difficult guy. That was one of Frank's better questions, I would say. One of Frank's better questions. Anyway. All right. Padres and Dodgers again coming up tonight. How many times, Frank, do we have to get somebody to... Nice. I love that every time you put something in front of the camera, it immediately moves away.
Yeah, it hates me.
It does not like you.
So there we go. Math. Quick maths.
How many times do we have to... I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do find it interesting. It's the Padre. It's the Fernando at second debate. I mean, how many times does this have to be? Like, I already saw it in the YouTube chat today.
Yeah, it's happening
The
again.
Padres are still continuing to experiment with Tatis at second. Coaches have admitted the position still requires mental adjustment for him. Earlier in the transition, he occasionally hesitated on double play feeds and throws. He turned a pretty good double play last night.
The big one, too. That was even
in the sixth inning.
I think Orsillo even said that was the smoothest he's looked on a double play ball so far this year.
Of course, the guys haven't played the infield in a while. That saved a run and showcased his elite athleticism. I mean, the Padres' organizational belief, because Kevin Acey wrote about this a little bit in his daily newsletter, the internal belief is that Tatis can become a Gold Glover caliber defender almost anywhere on the field. I don't know. Isn't that what we've been saying? That's what happens when you have athletes. This is why having a team full of shortstops is not the worst. I think Jackson Merrill could be a Gold Glove fielder anywhere on the field. I think Fernando could be a Gold Glove fielder anywhere on the field. Honestly, aside from the fact that he's a little bit older and he's not super fast, like Manny Machado could probably be a Gold Glover anywhere on the field, even though he's never gets to be a Gold Glover at third base. And I don't know what he has to do that. But in terms of his overall fielding, this team has athletes that can play anywhere on the field. The long-term question is whether positional flexibility becomes one of these organizational's biggest strategic advantages. I think it will be, because AJ Preller's built these teams that are very flexible, and you could move guys around to, I don't know, get your best 9 bats out there. If Fernando playing second base leads to more opportunities for some of the guys on the bench and our platoon players to get a little bit more playing time that are raking, I'm all for it. Whatever you could potentially do to get the best sticks out there possible. I think that's how you have to make your lineup, especially for a team that's been struggling to hit as a squad. So I don't, I know a lot of people don't want to see him at second because they're like, oh, defense. At the end of the day, we've talked about this so many times. The 3 aspects of baseball, you get to pick 2 that are good and one's got to be bad. What are you picking? It's hitting and it's pitching. Pitching won you the game last night. Sure, you had some defense, but you got to be able to hit and score runs. You can't win if you don't score. And if that's the reason why they're going to have Fernando play second base, I'm all for it. I really am. I hate pulling up these numbers. I really do. We haven't checked in on the Fernando career numbers in the infield offensively and in the outfield again.
I just saw it earlier today too.
It's probably continuing to just trend in that direction of just absurdities. I even went through and factored out some things to try to see if it made it more even. Like I factored out the 2021 season because of the PEDs and everything like that. I factored out, a couple other things, and it was still a gigantic difference in terms of where he played. But he is hitting 321 as a second baseman. It's not as high as the 4 whatever. That's in his career. He's hitting 263 as a right fielder. In 2026, this season, he's only played second base and right field. He's a pinch hitter too. He's hitting 321 in 58 plate appearances as a second baseman with a 757 OPS. He is hitting 193 with a 504 OPS when he plays right field.
Here it is. 2026, Fernando, when he plays second base, he's hitting 321, a 379 on base percentage, 6 stolen bases, 2 caught stealing. This year, when he plays right field, he's batting $139, 277 on base, 5 stolen bags, 4 caught stealing.
I don't want to it's still too early to tell, but I mean the guy rakes.
The speaks number for themselves.
You know what? That's true. English are a hard guy. That's true. It's not bad defensively. How did the Padres offense do yesterday in terms of sticking to the process? We'll talk about that. We'll get you a preview of tonight's game as we get plus new MLB Power Rankings. So take a look at Major League Baseball. Final out of the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. Got some more Padres talk coming your way. Padres-Dodgers game 2 tonight. Emmett Sheehan, 3-1 with a 4.54 ERA. Griffin Canning, 0-2 with a 10.64 ERA. It's been tough for Griffin Canning his last 2 opportunities. Big game for him, obviously, tonight. Big game for the Padres tonight, trying to win a series against the Dodgers. Hopefully, Griffin Canning has a little bit of a bounce back. And honestly, he just limits the walks. It's probably a lot better. His numbers are probably a lot better than they are, but you can't stop a walk, and he was wild against Milwaukee. Got to be able to lock in a little bit and throw strikes, and I think he's going to have more of a bounce-back outing tonight against the Dodgers. Be good to get the offense going, though. Let's talk about the offense for a second, because we talked about yesterday the importance of the process for the Padres, importance of hitting line drives. We talked about what Steven Souza Jr. has recently emphasized, returning to line drive contact for the team. So how did they do yesterday? Well, in general, over the past 4 games, they have hit 18 hard hit balls, and they're nearly matching the total from the previous 8 games combined. Now, the Padres' philosophy, the organization believes consistent line drive contact eventually beats bad luck, and process matters more than short-term batting average. I agree with both of those statements from the organization, or philosophies, if you will. Then you look into Fernando Tatis Jr. and his bad luck that he has. Well, 33 outs are on balls hit 100-plus miles an hour. That is the most in Major League Baseball. I'm going to say that again. Tatis has 33 outs on balls hit over 100 miles an hour. The most in Major League Baseball. That is incredibly unlucky. But at the same time, many are hard ground balls. So it can't all be about bad luck. If you're hitting the ball into the ground and right at people, okay, you're going to get out. That's why a lot of those outs on balls hit over 100 miles an hour, that's why he leads Major League Baseball in that, because they're on the ground. They're not line drives. That it helps explain the lower than expected production, and the Padres clearly believe positive regression is coming. Why wouldn't they? They invested in this guy. I mean, he's hitting the ball well, but he's hitting it hard right at people, but he's also hitting on the ground. You look at his launch angles, trending in the wrong direction, his attack angle. We've talked about this over and over and over again. The good news in terms of his overall metrics, he's hitting the ball hard. The bad news is he doesn't have this. He's not putting together the swing that is creating pull in the air and creating opportunities to slug at a high clip. But until he figures that out, it's just going to be more outs on balls hit over 100 miles an hour. I mean, even the ball he hit for a knock yesterday that went off hurt in the later innings, he hit that on the ground. I mean, it's going on the ground. Fernando needs to be able to lift the ball a little bit and get a better swing on the pitch if he wants to get a little bit more slug and get to the line drive portion that everybody else is trying to strive for. And that's the major difference here, Frank, between Fernando being able to hit his way out of the bad luck and him getting stuck in the same process. It's the ground ball versus line drive. You want to get the ball in the air a little bit. He starts hitting more line drives, even if it's right at people. Eventually, he's going to miss, and it's going to go up, and it's going to lead to more slug for this guy.
And he's been elevating the ball a little bit more recently. We've seen a couple of fly balls here recently that have threatened leaving the ballpark. But yeah, he is definitely getting the ball up a little bit more than he was at the start of the year, which is a good sign that things are eventually going to turn around and break out for him.
The Padres are still trying. I mean, I don't know. I'm tired of asking this question. I don't know how this team wins. It's amazing. You know what? I think there's something to be said about the veteran presence, about them grinding out games, about the, getting the most out of the bullpen. I mean, this team finds different ways to win, and good teams find ways to win. The Padres did it again last night. They leaned heavily on the pitching staff. Michael King, 7 innings. Phenomenal. yesterday. Bullpen shut it down against a good Dodger lineup that, by the way, the Dodgers being a half game behind the Padres right now in the standings, relative to the same record. They just played one more game than the Padres have, or vice versa. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Dodgers have one more game.
They got to that point a lot different than the Padres have gotten to their record. The Dodgers are actually like top in a lot of categories. The Padres are not. Yet they have relatively the same record. It's amazing how baseball works. But when you look at the offense for the Padres, I tell you what, scoring first still matters. And this was also outlined in the daily newsletter by Kevin Acee. Padres are 17-5 when scoring first. They're 6-3 when scoring first in the opening inning. And despite the modern analytics often minimizing momentum, yesterday's game reinforced early leads, dramatically changed bullpen management, defensive pressure, and offensive approaches. And for a team built around pitching in close games, that first run feels especially important. It's a big reason why it was huge to get out to a 1-0 lead, and that's how big that Andújar home run was yesterday.
Yeah, and getting out to an early lead is going to help you no matter what. It helps you whether or not you have the best pitching staff in baseball or the worst. You want to be able to pitch with the lead and not worry about possibly being forced to play from underneath and trying being forced to catch up, because that puts a lot of stress on your lineup as well. So yeah, to get runs early is going to be huge for this team. It's huge for any team, no matter what.
Absolutely. It matters in the long run. And here's the other thing too about this. Like, I think we are phrasing this all not wrong, but I think there's a different approach, because I do think the Padres are not going to do this the entire year, but the Padres are winning low scoring, pressure packed games. Everybody's initial reaction to that is what? They can't keep doing this, right? They can't do this over a course of 162 games. They can't keep doing this. But that's, to me, viewing it with the glass half empty. If you view it with the glass half full, isn't this the type of games you're going to be playing in October? Aren't these the type of games you're going to be playing maybe in late September? Aren't these the type of games that you're going to be playing when they matter to a heightened level? And don't you want experience playing these games? Don't you want your pitchers to have to go out there and have clutch pitches every single time for an inning? Don't you want to see your team use defensive versatility? Don't you want to see your team offensively try to grind out at bats and get some of the experience? I say it all the time. It's very important. Doing stuff in practice is one thing. You need game reps. The Padres are getting a lot of game reps. So I do think this is positive, even though eventually they're going to have to just cruise in some games later in the season because they don't want to get burnt out. But if you're looking at this from a positive standpoint, Frank, the Padres are playing in highly contested games, which is going to make them battle tested for the playoffs.
Yes, and you had mentioned it just at the end there, and kind of in passing. It is very good that they are in these situations and that they are getting those in-game reps to be in these situations. However, you cannot live in these situations because you do get worn out from it. Constantly being in these, you don't have the stamina, the strength to do it when it matters most. So you do need, it is very important to get that experience being in these tight, close games in a perfect situation, such as last night. However, you also do need a decent amount of laughers put in so you're not worn out when the time comes to do it again with the biggest trophy on the line.
This is a Padres team that kind of shows that you could still play winning baseball despite what a lot of the numbers say. I mean, they're winning one-run games. They're playing good defense. The bullpen and the way they manage the bullpen's been great. Situational execution's been huge. I mean, line drives are the Padres are doing a lot better with line drives over launch angle. I mean, they're building a very sustainable team. The problem is you just don't want them to do it every single day. But I think there's a lot to be said about the veterans on this team. I think there's a lot to be said about you can't practice like situational execution until you get in those situations. And, for a team that in 2023 could not situationally hit to save their life, it's kind of nice that they are situationally putting together good at bats, clutch hitting, clutch pitching. I mean, the situational awareness for this team is way better than it was just 3 years ago.
Oh, for sure. And they are winning despite their offense, not because of it. Their offense ranks so poorly. It's at or near the bottom in every single metric in Major League Baseball. So it's, again, you're right. It is good to know that you can win these games in other ways, despite the limited offense that you are getting. But it has to turn around at some point, and you do need to be able to walk away with some games and be able to cruise. And they have not done that nearly enough so far this season.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, a look at Major League Baseball as we had another week go into the books. Where's everybody at? We take a little bit broader view at what's going on in the big leagues, aside from just the Padres and the Dodgers. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Urban Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan.
Denny Hamlin just reminded the NASCAR garage that experience still matters. Hamlin survived absolute chaos at Dover Motor Speedway to win the NASCAR All-Star race and collect the $1 million prize. Massive wrecks took out stars like Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, and Chase Elliott early, but Hamlin stayed patient and dominated the long runs when it mattered the most. But the biggest surprise might have even been 19-year-old Connor Zilisch finishing fifth after battling back from a pit road penalty. He finally looked comfortable racing in Cup Series and may be NASCAR's biggest superstar. Meanwhile, Corey Day grabbed another Xfinity Series win. Kyle Busch dominated the truck race again, and Alex Palou earned the pole for the Indianapolis 500 next weekend. So here's the question. Are young drivers taking over motorsports, or are veterans still the ones you trust most under pressure? Because this week gave us both. This week in motorsports, Dover Motor Speedway delivered chaos, redemption, veteran dominance, and a preview of what could be one of the biggest weekends of the year, with Charlotte and Indianapolis both coming up next week. From Denny Hamlin cashing in $1 million All-Star win, to young stars like Connor Zilisch and Corey Day breaking through, to Alex Palou earning the pole for the Indianapolis 500, there was no shortage of storylines across NASCAR and IndyCar over this past weekend. We'll start with the NASCAR Cup Series as Denny Hamlin reminded everyone why he is still one of the smartest and toughest drivers in the NASCAR garage. Hamlin started from pole and survived one of the wildest all-star races in recent memory to take home the $1 million prize at Dover Motor Speedway. The race featured multiple crashes, tire strategy battles, and long green flag runs that completely changed the race throughout the afternoon. In the end, it turned into a Toyota showdown, with Hamlin holding off teammate Chase Briscoe over the final 29 laps. Hamlin said the long run speed and patience were the difference, and honestly, the veteran experience showed. While other contenders crashed out or faded, Hamlin stayed clean, managed his tires, and controlled the race late. One emotional moment after the race stood out too, as Hamlin said he'd probably give the $1 million prize to his mother after losing his father in a tragic house fire last December. To the young stars now, Connor Zilisch continuing to impress on the NASCAR circuit. One of the biggest surprises this weekend was 19-year-old Connor Zilisch finishing fifth in the All-Star race. Even after receiving a pit road penalty midway through the race, Zilisch charged back through the field and looked aggressive and confident on restarts against seasoned Cup veterans. For Trackhouse Racing, this was a major positive sign because Zilisch finally looked comfortable competing at the Cup level instead of just surviving. This may have been a breakout performance for one of NASCAR's future stars. Moving on to next week for NASCAR, Dover reminded everyone how brutal the Monster Mile can be. Huge wrecks early in the race collected major names like Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, and Chase Elliott. Now the focus shifts to Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Coca-Cola 600, one of NASCAR's crown jewel events and one of the most historic events in the history of NASCAR. The biggest question heading into Charlotte is whether Hamlin can carry this momentum into a points-paying race or if other teams learned enough through the All-Star weekend to be able to close the gap. In the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, it gave us another incredible race at the end and another breakout moment for a young star. 20-year-old Californian Corey Day picked up his second career win at Dover, chasing down championship leader Justin Allgaier late into the race. Unlike his Talladega win earlier this season, this one came from pure speed and tire management. Day made a fearless move on the outside through traffic late in the race to steal the victory, a move many veteran drivers wouldn't even attempt at a track like Dover. It is becoming clear that NASCAR's young talent pipeline is absolutely loaded right now. However, the veterans still do have a lot to say, as in the Craftsman Truck Series, Kyle Busch dominated the race at Dover on Friday, leading 147 laps and earning his record 5th Truck Series win at Dover. Meanwhile, whenever Busch races in the Truck Series, it feels inevitable at times. His experience with tire management and long run speed continues to separate him from the field. One of the biggest moments from this race for not just the Truck Series, but for NASCAR as a whole, was a historic moment as Dynasty Spurlock became the first Black woman to start a race in the NASCAR National Series. So a huge moment for her and for the sport in general. Although her race ended early with a spin, it was an important milestone for her. She did attempt to qualify, I believe, last week, but she did not make the field on speed. She made it this week.
117 on the Fan. I've had headphone issues all day. I think in the middle of Kevin, like, these headphones aren't very good. I don't know what happened to the ones that I've been using.
That one wasn't headphone issues. That was me.
I know. That's why I didn't know, because when Kevin Chilavista was talking, I thought we lost him.
Yeah, no, that was.
But it was still coming back, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, oh, the headphones don't work. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. When we come back from break, as we go to break, I'm going to ask a trivia question. And the first one to call in and answer the trivia question will win tickets.
Answer it correctly.
You will win tickets to Padres and Phillies at Petco Park on Memorial Day. Get tickets now at padres.com/tickets. They spelled Padres wrong on the read.
No, they did not.
They did. It's a typo. Look at it. Posrace.com/tickets.
Come on.
You didn't type that. You just copied and pasted it, right?
I did.
Yeah. I kind of figured. Somebody fat fingered it. Posrace.
Lads.
There it is. The answer will be Mets. No, it's not. That's for the midday sports standoff only. Usually have Met answers. So I'm surprised Jose Iglesias wasn't an answer since he used to play for the Mets. Okay. We will do that going to break. Let's talk about, you know what? I haven't fired up the music in a long time. Let's fire up the music. Let's talk a little baseball. What's going on in Major League Baseball in the power rankings? Braves, number 1 on the latest power rankings, Frank. How do you feel about that?
That's cute.
Biggest story in baseball right now is the return of the Braves to the number 1 spot. The emotional backdrop surrounding it, obviously, following the passings of franchise legends Bobby Cox and Ted Turner. Atlanta, dominant baseball and emotional energy at home this past week. Braves already own an 8-game lead in the National League East. They've won 14 of 16 series this year. Only true series loss came against Seattle. Atlanta continues to combine their elite offense, their depth, consistency, better than anyone in Major League Baseball. They look like the best team in baseball right now. They have the best record. Are the Atlanta Braves going to be the best team in baseball at the end of the season?
No.
Why not?
They get hit with the injury ray every single season.
Hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened yet.
They get hit with the injury ray every single year. They will not. I see them winning the division because they built such a cushion now, but I don't see them being the team to beat in the National League right now.
They're playing really good baseball right now. I mean, they did take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. We'll see how they do when they play the Brewers later in the season. But right now, they look like the team to beat in Major League Baseball, and then whether or not they can keep that up will remain to be seen. I think back when I see this Braves team, I think back to the Phillies team from either last year or a couple of years ago. They got off that such a big lead, and they burnt out near the end of the season. It's not who you play; it's when you play them. Same thing can be true about the season. So it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. I know we hear that all the time from players, but how many times do we see teams jump out to these gigantic leads to start the year, and they start to fizzle out, and they're kind of one and done in the playoffs?
Also coming in with a new manager too. Remember, Brian Snitker's not heading that team anymore, so it is interesting how they've changed.
I look at Atlanta. I think of the Phillies from a couple of years ago. I think remember the Giants won 100 games. The one-off year for the Giants. They won the division. What happened to them in the playoffs? Ousted in the first round. So they got to be able to put it together through 162 and hopefully not burn out. Dodgers starting to resurrect a little bit after a not as great start to the season as I think a lot of people expected them to be. I'm not going to cry for them. They lost last night to the Padres, which is great, but they're starting to awaken a little bit. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Cubs. We talked about the Chicago Cubs. And a couple of weeks ago, Frank, the Cubs looked almost unbeatable. Slug was high, but they had just lost some starting pitching. Now you're starting to see the Cubs show some cracks.
Yeah, you're also starting to see their center fielder cursing out fans. So that's also cool. But yeah, no, the Cubs are still the team to beat in that division, but they are going to need some starting pitching help sooner rather than later. They're going to need to make possibly a June move for pitching help.
Yeah, they spent the Cubs are number 1 in the power rankings a couple of weeks ago, but they've dropped now to 3 following a 2-4 week last week. NL Central seems to be the best team, our best division in baseball right now. It's definitely the deepest division. Milwaukee and St. Louis gained ground immediately on Chicago. Chicago's margin for error has now disappeared, and their recent slump shows just how quickly momentum changes in these competitive divisions. I mean, they still look good, but this week reminded, I think, a lot of us that it's not going to be a runaway division winner, and the Cubs aren't going to be. And I think the pitching's going to catch up to them eventually. How about the Rays in the American League as we get to 4 in the power rankings? Tampa Bay continues to do what Tampa Bay always does. They have elite pitching, and they maximize every roster spot. No Rays starter has allowed more than 3 runs in the last 22 games, and they've won 18 of those 22. There's no surprise why they have the record that they have. There is no surprise at why they're in first place, not only in the American League East, but in the American League altogether. Didn't think they were going to be this good out of the gate, and they are, and they have the best record in the American League, and right now they're the best team in the American League.
And I continue to say it about the Rays. They don't have good teams often, but when they do, they are really, really good. So when you look at teams that have had hot starts, and whether or not you want to believe them or not, the Rays are one of the few teams that have had a hot start like this that I 100% believe.
And you know what? That is something we're going to talk about tomorrow. Teams with hot starts and whether or not they're sustainable, and who do you believe in? The Rays rotation consistency may be the best story in the American League right now. I mean, they continue to prove that they can compete with huge payroll teams despite limited resources. They're winning with sustainability and not fluke offense. I mean, they do everything right. They play like a grinded out baseball, and then they load up on pitching, and they do a great job. And then after those guys become free agents, they leave. It's a different recipe. It hasn't won them a World Series yet, but you know what? It makes for really good seasons down there in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Yankees, next team on the list. How about the weekend for the Yankees?
It was awesome.
Wasn't that great a weekend for
Loved
the Yankees? Yankees, managing injuries conservatively. They had tough with guys like Max Fried. I think they're protecting him for October. I think where that division's at and where the American League is at, I think the New York Yankees know that they're going to be there in October, and I think they're making sure none of their players get hurt until October. I think they are starting to manage their roster like they're already in.
Yeah, the Yankees are going to be just fine. They have Garrett Cole coming back soon. They are talking about rushing him back. Max Fried now gone. Jason Dominguez is going to be hurt for a little while. Congratulations. You have Anthony Volpe back, so that can only hurt you. But other than that, the Yankees are going to be fine. The Yankees and the Yankees.
Padres holding position at number 7 in the latest power rankings. They've stayed 7th, which actually says a lot considering the Padres' injuries and their offensive inconsistency. I mean, the focus shifted heavily toward prospect development. Top prospect, Cash Mayfield, owns a 1.52 ERA through 7 high A starts. Opponents are hitting just 0.99 against him. San Diego continues producing pitching despite years of prospect trades. I mean, you saw it. You see the depth. Padres staying steady. And I think their biggest storyline for the Padres this season has been they've really hit on their depth.
100%, yes. And that's something that they have not done here recently. Over the last couple of years, they've tried the older player that's trying to hang on. They went younger. They went with guys in their 30s, and it's working for them now. The younger 30s.
This is a team that Frank's not going to want to talk about, but since Don Mattingly has taken over, the Phillies are suddenly alive. They have completely flipped their season narrative. I mean, 15 wins in 19 games under Don Mattingly. They beat Paul Skeens and the Pirates convincingly. They're back over 500 after looking dead weeks ago. Phillies may have stabilized the clubhouse and the season simultaneously with the managerial change. I mean, it's a lot of it's the same people, right? It's the same team. Maybe they needed a new face at the helm. Don Mattingly seems to be stirring that ship in the right direction. This is what happens when you fire managers, I guess, sometimes in the middle of the season when you think you have a good team. You start winning games.
The Mets and Phillies were the 2 worst teams in baseball not that long ago. One team fired their manager.
Here we go.
And is now over 500.
And in second place.
The other team still 6 games under 500. Which one is which, and why have the Mets not fired Carlos Mendoza?
Hey, man, they've won 3 in a row.
Congratulations.
They beat the Yankees. Hang the banner.
And now they're relying on the youth movement as Nick Morabito has joined the roster. So now they've called up Carson Bench to start the year. Knew that was coming. They've called up AJ Ewing, who has turned out to be a really big spark plug for them. And now Nick Morabito's turn.
I just feel like the New York Mets, I mean, like where the Mets are, it's like they could have fired their manager and then maybe flipped it a little bit. They're just going in a different direction. The Phillies were able to resurrect, and I think the Phillies are going to be back in the conversation pretty shortly. A missed opportunity for the Mets. You know what? They took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, though.
They did, yes.
You gotta be satisfied about it. It's the little.
Oh
things.
no, I'm very happy about that. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy about that. I still don't like who's running this team, though.
Is it time to acknowledge that the White Sox are hanging around?
Yes.
They're above 500. They took 2 or 3 from the Cubs, sitting in a playoff spot despite major preseason skepticism. I mean, the American League middle class is weak enough that mediocrity currently keeps teams in contention. I understand that, but the White Sox are above 500. I know it might be a game above 500, but the White Sox are above 500. And guess what? The White Sox are 2 games out of first place. They've won 7 of the last 10. We watched this White Sox team beat the Padres 2 out of 3 here at Petco Park. I mean, they got some young players. I think Will Venable's doing a good job considering the circumstances of managing the Chicago White Sox. Who's more likely to make the postseason in the American League Central? The White Sox or the Tigers? Tigers are 8 games under 500. A lot of injuries with their pitching staff. White Sox are a game above 500 right now, 2 games out of first place.
I would say the White Sox mainly because of the cushion. The Tigers are going to make a surge when they get their pitching back. But other than that, I think the White Sox have built a decent little cushion for themselves. And looking at it right now, it's really just 3 guys that are performing at an extraordinary level, and they're not hitting for average either. These 3 guys are hitting 242, 234, and 241. That is Munetaka Murakami, Colson Montgomery, and Miguel Vargas. And the reason why those guys stand out is because Murakami's got 17 home runs, Montgomery's got 13, Vargas has 11. The next guy on the team, Drew Romo, I'm going to do this to you now. You want to guess how many home runs Drew Romo has, 4th place on the team?
On the White Sox?
Yep.
8.
4.
Oh.
It's just those 3, and they're the only ones that are hitting. It's interesting to see how much Murakami has changed that team for the signing, and also how big Colson Montgomery has become since coming up. And that's also missing Kyle Teal, their starting catcher, because of injury. So the White Sox have been very, very impressive. They're not that 121 loss team anymore.
No, they're getting a little bit more competitive. They got some good young players. Will Venable, I think, has done a great job. Last one for you. I got 2 more. Red Sox and Mets are entering crisis territory. Both major market franchises feel unstable. Here are the Red Sox problems. 3rd worst record in the American League. Offensive collapse. Trevor Story is injured again. Poor base running and low energy. For the New York Mets, this might be a refresher for you. Clay Holmes' injury adds to pitching concerns. Constant momentum swings. Season feels emotionally exhausting already. Yet the Mets also showed resilience by taking the final 2 games from the Yankees after the Holmes injury. Both organizations feel like they're one bad week away from major external pressure. I think they already have major external pressure.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
That's a goober who wrote that. I think the Red Sox are in a little bit worse situation because the guys that they could call up have already come up. You call up a guy like Roman Anthony, you call up a guy like Marcelo Mayer, you call up a guy like Christian Campbell in order to get that spark like the Mets have done with Benj and Ewing and now hopefully Morabito. The Red Sox don't have players like that. They don't have those guys. So I would say the Red Sox are in more imminent trouble than the Mets are right now.
I would agree with that. I think the Red Sox are in serious trouble. Astros rumors starting to get loud. The mention of possible Yordan Alvarez trade rumors is significant. It's signaling something bigger. For the first time in years, baseball no longer fears Houston automatically. Dynasty aura is fading. Conversations are shifting from how do they contend to should they reset. Astros will be sellers at the deadline.
Yeah,
they're not changing anything anytime soon.
No, their window has firmly closed now. Altuve is not the player that he used to be. Correa's hurt. Having a guy like Yordan Alvarez right now, having a guy like Carlos Pena right now, or even a Christian Walker, those are guys that are going to be wasted in Houston with the way that team is right now.
Giants look terrible. Rockies got good news on Chase Dolander. Arizona's just kind of treading water and hanging around. Any one of those make a threat to the Dodgers and Padres?
Arizona.
Do you think so, or do you not? Are you just picking one?
They're the best of the 3. They have the best chance because they have not been good, and yet they're still 500. So I would say that if I had to pick one of the 3, I would say Arizona has the best opportunity.
I would agree with that. You don't have to pick. You can
No.
say none of them.
No, none of them.
I don't think so either. I think the Diamondbacks are. I mean, they destroyed the Giants last night. The Giants are awful. I was Robbie Ray again. Robbie Ray's getting shelled. That's like their best guy. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. If you're the first one to call in and tell us what a Philly is, you will win tickets to Padres and Phillies on Memorial Day next Monday.
That's the question. What is an Philly?
What is a Philly? What is it short for? What is the actual Philadelphia baseball team name? First one to call in, tell us that. You'll win today's tickets. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. It might be really easy. Might be really hard. You might overthink it. Good luck to all that try. All guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant.
Am I?
I'm Ron Burgundy. The Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3. The Fan. Talking a lot of Padres baseball today. We talked some MLB baseball during the last segment. Looking at the power rankings. Big game tonight. Padres and Dodgers. Now, tonight's matchup, Padres and Dodgers. Again, trying to win a series tonight. To me, I view this game, if you will, as you got to try to win one of the next two. That to me is how you want to win 2 out of 3. I think if you win tonight, then you can think about getting greedy on Wednesday. But you got to be able to take 2 out of 3 on this particular series, and you're going to be going against, in a matchup tonight. You got Griffin Canning on the mound, who's trying to bounce back from what has been kind of a tough start to his Padres career. He's going against Emmett Sheehan of the Dodgers, who's 3-1 with a 4.54 ERA. Griffin Canning, the last start that he had was not great because of the walks. You limit the walks, and I think you'll have a little bit better of a Griffin Canning. I mean, I don't want to factor out different starts that he had, but he did not look very good against the Brewers. I think with this being a big game, he should be able to bounce back, but it's going to be a little bit different because it's a difficult lineup he's going to have to navigate tonight against the Dodgers, and a difficult lineup that just got shut out the night before. All hands on deck for the bullpen. I'm curious to see if Mason Miller is available tonight. I think if it's a 2 or 1 run lead for the Padres, you'll see him again, because I think they'll have some opportunities to give him a break over the weekend against the Athletics. But to me, tonight's game all starts with Griffin Canning. You can't walk the house and expect to not get crushed by a team like the Dodgers.
Yeah, we said it before in the show that they are a team that is going to punish every single mistake that you make. Almost had it happen last night. Weren't able to get Hyesung Kim across, but still, this is for Griffin Canning. Again, he is a guy who has said it himself that he gets up for these big games and feels like he elevates his performance in situations and in games like this. So now it's time for him to put that to the test here, the ultimate test, at least this early in the season.
I mean, they're going against Emmett Sheehan, who's coming off of a 6-inning performance against the Giants, where he gave up 2 earned runs on 2 hits. He gave up a long ball and ended up walking a couple of batters. He's a high strikeout guy. He had 6 against the Giants, falling 7 against the Braves, 8 against St. Louis, 10 against the Cubs. I mean, those are all teams that you were competing with at the top of the National League, right? I mean, those are all contenders right now. 10 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts, 6 strikeouts. He's going to be a high strikeout guy, but also he gives up runs. He has yet to throw up a 0 on the scoreboard this year. He gave up 2 runs against the Giants. He did pitch really well against the Braves, but it wasn't a lot of innings, 4 2/3. Gave up the 1 earned run, gave up 4 to the Cardinals, 1 to the Cubs, and 6 1/3, which is solid. But he gives up multiple runs every single outing. And the other thing he does, he's given up home runs in almost all but a couple of his starts. He's had 8 starts this year. He's given up home runs in 5 of his 8 starts. He can be hit around. You could use a long ball against him. The funny thing is, I just saw on MLB Network, they picked their dingers of the day on Intentional Talk. They picked Fernando today to get a home run. Plus 490 on the odds. Surprised it's only that at this point. We still need a couple of home runs for our boy Juan. He's also got to hit a little bit better. What was he, 1 for 4 last night?
Juan does not care about a single thing in this world right now other than the fact that Arsenal just won the Premier League. So anything can happen tonight, and he would be on cloud 9.
Need 2 homers from Tatis and have him hit 750 because then it would balance out and put the pressure on for Wednesday. Get a couple of hits on Wednesday. You can hit Sheehan. He's not a world beater. The Dodgers are 5-3 when he starts. Obviously, he's factored into 4 decisions. He's 3-1 in those decisions. High strikeouts, but also very volatile in terms of he's got to give up runs and he's got to give up the long ball. He's not an unhittable guy that the Dodgers have. He's a very solid major league starter, but one of those 4 or 5 guys that you would see in a rotation, 3, 4, or 5 at this point in terms of his overall stats this season. So the other thing too, and we talked about this earlier in the show, the Padres have done great when they score first. It'd be nice to just jump on the Dodgers early and give Griffin Canning a little bit of breathing room early in the contest. And I mean, for him against the Brewers, it unraveled on him in the second. I mean, already in the second batter, he threw 43 pitches in the first inning. Something absurd. He's just got to be able to limit the walks. I think his ERA is a little inflated based on obviously the bad outing he had against the Brewers, and then I think he got the short end of the deal against the Cardinals with the Fernando Tatis Jr. inside the park home run situation. I mean, there's not much more that Griffin Canning could do in that particular situation. So, because he gives up, his first outing was great and very promising for the Padres, and that was coming off of what was a really good start to the season last year with the New York Mets. I mean, I think you're going to see a little bit more of the 5 innings, 1 earned run, 3 hits out of Griffin Canning than you're going to see the 1 2/3, 6 earned runs on 5 hits with 4 walks. But walks have killed Griffin Canning this year so far for the Padres. He has 9 walks already this season, 4 of them coming in an inning and 2/3 in his last outing. So he's got to be able to deal with the walks. Still had some pretty good strikeout numbers in his first 2 outings, but overall, Griffin Canning, he cannot pitch around a lot of these Dodger hitters. They're gonna jump on him. So this is gonna be. I think this is the toughest game to win out of the 3. I mean, even with Ohtani pitching on Wednesday, you gotta love the way Randy Vasquez has been pitching this season. I'll roll with Randy.
Yeah, Randy Vasquez, I believe, will be able to hang.
It's gonna be tough. He's got a tough situation. He's got to go duel it out with Ohtani. But the Padres have hit to Ohtani pretty decent, especially dating back to like the Angels days as well. So,
Mickey 61904 in the chat. Tatis will hit a 2-run homer today. Mark my words. Your
words have been marked.
It is starred, ready to go, and we want to see you in here tomorrow. Either way,
we didn't do a bold prediction yesterday, did we?
We did not do a bold prediction yesterday.
All right, lead us off with a bold prediction for tonight's game.
Emmett Sheehan gets rocked in the 3rd inning.
Define rocked. What do you want to see for it to be rocked?
3 runs or more.
Okay, so he gives up 3 runs in the 3rd inning. Plus.
3 runs,
3 plus.
3 plus in the 3rd. Yeah.
3 plus in the 3rd inning. Okay.
Watch it either happen in the 2nd or the 4th now.
I don't care. That'd be awesome. I feel like here's what we're doing with the bold predictions too. There's a moratorium on you cannot pick Fernando to hit a home run until he hits 1. And then you can pick. We can't pick it every single day. So I'm putting that on as a rule before I make my own prediction.
Let's just say, because this show, we're always right. No matter what the case is, we are always right. Let's just say
no, because I thought the Padres with a 1-0 lead was going to end in disaster. So we can't say always.
Let's just say our show pick every single day is Fernando hitting a home run. So this way we cannot individually pick it. So this way we're always right.
Okay.
Our show bold prediction every single day is Fernando hits a home run. My individual bold prediction is that Sheehan gives up 3 or more in the third. Your individual prediction.
Jackson Merrill goes deep.
Okay.
We haven't seen it. I mean, Jackson Merrill has not been super good offensively. I think he starts to really settle in. He gets a home run tonight. Off Sheehan. I'll be even more specific. I got Merrill hitting one off Sheehan tonight.
Home run off Sheehan.
Got 3 innings against Sheehan. Or 3 runs in the third inning. That is bold. I'll take that. I don't think we're gonna get a pitcher's duel tonight.
No.
By any means.
Nope. This is, if there's a night where you are going to be able to get to Dodgers starting pitching, tonight is the night. Sheehan's ERA right now.
It's a 4 point something. I just looked at it.
It's a 4.54. So if there was a night, if there was a guy that you were going to get to in this Dodger rotation, it's going to be Emmett Sheehan.
First one to how many runs wins tonight's game? I have a number in my head.
First to 5.
That's what I was thinking. First to 5. I think first to 5 runs. I first to 5 runs. We'll get. If you score 5 runs tonight, you should win.
Eric's POV bold prediction: Stammen gets ejected.
I don't think Stammen's going to get ejected one time this year. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
He hasn't really gotten too fired up and too emotional.
No, he's been pretty even keel.
Yeah.
At this point, in reality.
We mentioned it before. He is definitely not a Bobby Cox type. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he's probably not throwing any chairs either.
He's not a Bobby Cox. He's not a Bobby. Why are all of the craziest managers and head coaches named Bobby?
Are they all short for Robert too? They just wanted to be something else.
Yeah. What is that about?
Start naming all the no, because Augie Garrido is named Augie. Is that Bobby in a different language?
Yeah.
You know what? It all ends in an E. In terms of like the way you say it, Bobby, Augie. No, because he got Mike Gillespie.
Yeah, short for Bobbert. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. It's been the Braden Surprenant Show. Hopefully, we're talking about a Padres sweep tomorrow. See how Griffin Canning does tonight against the Dodgers. Gwen and Chris coming up next.